Let's do it. Come on in. Come on in now. So, Auntie Leah can do a thing. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Salute, salute, salute. Welcome back to Kickin' It with Auntie Leah and the Truth Gang. Thank you so much for deciding to stop by the channel tonight. We're just going to wait for some more people to come in. Tonight we're still talking about Nolan Wells and social injustice in Mississippi and Damn It Bart and Warren Said It. All of that.
Cry when the sirens came.
Let's listen to the music too.
Another young soul
While
gone,
we wait on the other people to come in. Give me a couple of minutes.
For the truth, but the pain remains.
You got to
Different
keep saying
faces,
his
same
name.
story, just a
If you can please hit
different
the like
name.
button and share the live, that'd
We
be
grew
awesome.
up here and freedom reigns, but freedom feels different when you're fighting for everything. Working 2 jobs, still can't pay the bills. While the wealthy get richer from the top of the hill. Turn on the news and what do we see? More division,
more people to get here, y'all. We'll start in a couple of
They
minutes.
tell us be patient, wait our turn. But how many generations gotta live and learn?
Teach your children, y'all.
We've been knocked down.
Push everybody in the bushes.
Told to be silent when our people cry. But there's a fire that they can't control. A strength is buried deep within our soul. My people, hold your head up high. Don't let this world convince you not to try.
We gotta be strong regardless of what we're going through, black people.
We'll keep standing in the pouring rain. They can build walls, they can close doors, but they can't stop.
We're just waiting on some more of the family to get here, guys. Sit down, relax, we're gonna get right into it. Please hit the like button and share the live. That'd be great. Let's get into it.
Growing
Justice
up
for
without
Nolan
a
Wells.
chance. Caught in a system that won't advance. Schools underfunded, dreams put on hold. While promises fade and stories grow old. Mothers praying every night that the babies make it home all right. Fathers working till their hands are born, trying to get their families a better morn. Still we rise when they expect us to fall. Still we answer when our people call. Still we love
We got about
when they
5
give us
minutes.
hate.
Not for the music.
Still
It's for Nancy's video to
not
start.
too late. They tell us
Right now,
it's the
we're just
reason
waiting
to
on people to
pass,
come
but the
in.
scars of yesterday still
you guys to
last.
share
Red
the
lines
live
drawn
so
through
people know that we're
neighborhoods.
here having
Broken
this
promises dressed up
conversation.
as good. We watch dreams get pushed aside. Watch too many mothers cry. Watch too many candles burn while the world keeps taking turns. Yet our ancestors paved the way through darker nights and harder days. They carry faith when hope was thin, and that's the reason we're
share the
still
live
here.
right now.
So teach the children who they are, not what the doubters say they are. Kings and queens with purpose inside, born with dignity, born with pride. I see the pain, I see the tears.
All right,
I
all
see
right,
the
all
battles
right.
fought for years.
Thank you so much for your
I see the
patience.
names we can't forget. The family still demanding respect.
All right, salute to everybody. And again, welcome back to Kickin' It with Auntie Leah. I am so glad that you decided to come back to my channel to have this conversation. I do hope that you please hit the like button as well as share the live. If you don't mind, if everybody can please let me know what city you're tuning in from or state, it doesn't matter. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to start watching the video that Nancy has dropped on this new photo that was released that could give us some more clues into the Nolan Wells case. And so it is very important that we as a people continue to speak his name, and not only his name, Carmelo's name, not only Carmelo's name, Daniel Irvin's name, Tyler Smith's name. It's so many of our young black people, or just people of color, period, are just passing away with no justice whatsoever. So I appreciate everyone that has stopped by. and we will be starting the video soon. I think we have about 3 more minutes before the breaking news comes out. So, and it's okay if you don't want to talk in the chat. I welcome everybody in the back as well. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get this started. We'll pull it up and we'll just wait on the video to start. And I really hope that there's not a lot of trollish activity going on tonight, because it's really taxing on one's spirit when you have to combat racist people in the chat. We shouldn't have to do that when we're coming here to just get answers. And all the Wells has been doing, or the Wansleys, all they've asked is what happened to Nolan. And everybody that's asking what happened to this child is being relentlessly attacked on a daily basis on multiple platforms. I had 3 videos removed from TikTok today. And the videos were not making accusations or anything like that, but they removed them just because Nolan Wells' name was in the video. Make that make sense, America. And the prosecutor, hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here, Lillian. The prosecutor in Mississippi, totally silent, not willing to give us updates, not wanting to tell us what's going on. The secret, what do you call it, grand jury that's going to take 7 to 8 weeks. And if they can't make a decision within this time frame, and then we have to reconvene in October. I mean, are they getting a kick out of the uproar that is amongst us? Is that what it is? And also, it appears that they've unleashed a troll form of bots to attack anybody that is willing to ask questions. And I think that is just diabolical. Guys, I think we have less than a minute left before the video starts. If I can get everybody to please hit the like button and share the live, that would be great. And while we are waiting, let's see. Yep, it's about to start in a minute. I am going to ask you guys to please stay respectful in the comments. The very first comment that is has racial slurs or anything like that, you are out the door. You are out the door. And you also need to know that this is a pro-black channel. It is. So if you don't like that part of my channel, and if you don't like that I am for justice for these children that have been unalived on a daily basis, then this is not the channel for you. It's that simple. It's that simple, guys. Hey, Reality. Thank you so much. Okay, here you go, Stanley. Stanley, bring your ass in here and sit down or go away. See, that's what is wrong with you people. Because, that's that Austin syndrome mentality. And let me explain that to you. That's when you want to bully somebody in their own space. And then you take it upon yourself to put your hand. You typing these type of comments in my section is like equivalent to you putting your hands on me. And just like Austin, you're about to FAFO. So you just need to calm down. You're welcome to watch. But what you're not going to do is disrespect me in my house, period. Okay? All right. Period. Point blank. I'm tired of it. Because the audacity of you people. All right, let's go.
A Nolan Wells bombshell report tonight. Does it reveal new witnesses? And because of the new timeline report, is there a timeline shift in what happened the afternoon and evening? Nolan Wells seemingly disappears. His body found washed up at Horn Island. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. What is in that autopsy?
Now I really want to see the other autopsy to see, is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened?
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I have no doubt that what we're listening to and what she did is credible.
Not only has the timeline been analyzed by the Cajun Navy, the U.S. Cajun Navy, based on all sorts of statistical data, new photos are emerging. Take a look at this photo before we go to the Cajun Navy. Look at this. Check out what you're seeing. Look at all the boats surrounding where Nolan was. Leave up the photo out to Caitlin Becker, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of New York Postcast, their new podcast. Caitlin, what are we seeing?
Well, what we're seeing here comes from this new report from the United Cajun Navy, and you're seeing several boats strung together. This is one of the first images that we've seen of this certain configuration of boats there. They're all identified, one of which was the boat that Nolan came out there on. There's several others kind of anchored with it and tied up, which begs the question of where was Nolan when this photo was taken, because it's unclear if he's actually in it. What time was this photo actually taken? So what you're seeing here is, as you said, a potential pool of witnesses.
Hey, Caitlin, look at this. There's boat number 1. There's boat X. There's boat number 2. There's boat number 3. And there's a boat from which the photo is taken. Now, look in the water. There much has been made. Nolan Wells was drinking. Okay, well, apparently everybody was. They all have containers, open containers in the water. Okay, as far as I know, that's not a felony. Boat number 1, full of people. Boat X, full of people. Boat number 2, full of people. Boat number 3, full of people. People on the boat from which the photo was taken. Some of these boats tied together. You know what that means in my world, Caitlin Becker, joining us in the New York Post? Let me see, Caitlin, please. That means witnesses. See, when I look at that, I see witnesses. Other people say, hey, there's people having a good time. I see witnesses. Do you see all those people?
And a lot of them.
Who were they? Have they been spoken to? Have they been polygraphed? What can they tell me?
That is the question, right? We don't know from an investigative standpoint who has been spoken to, exactly who is in this photo, and what they have or haven't told law enforcement, because there hasn't been really any transparency there. But from what our reporting has showed, there have been dozens of people who have spoken to law enforcement as witnesses. But Nancy, we don't know if it's any of these people that you're seeing in this little cove area right here. And the timing, I think, is really important, because these images are taken right around, I think the timeline's about 3:30-ish, 4:30-ish, when the boat that Nolan came out there on leaves and starts taking on water. That's one of the pegs for the timeline. When these photos were actually taken, that is a peg for a timeline. But what we don't know is where Nolan is. There he is. You can see that image right there. But we don't know is where Nolan was when that first image that we saw with all of those boats kind of tied together, when that was taken.
You are seeing a photo obtained by our friends at the United Cajun Navy. And speaking of the United Cajun Navy, joining me now is Brian Trasher, Vice President, United Cajun Navy. And for all of you attacking the United Cajun Navy, let's see that aerial footage they provided us. This is from the Cajun Navy describing their search, their aerial search. They spotted Nolan Wells' body. They have been integral in the search for Nolan Wells and helping elucidate the facts as we know them. Brace yourself, Trasher. Everybody else is getting death threats. You might as well join the party. To you, Brian Trasher, the United Cajun Navy has come up with a timeline. Now, did I hear Caitlin Becker from the New York Post correctly that that photo where the boats are named Boat 1, Boat 2, Boat 3, and Boat X, is that from you guys, the United Cajun Navy?
First of all, I want to thank you for calling this report what it is, and it's a timeline. And some people have called it an investigative report, and that's not accurate because, as you know, we're not investigators. And what we did, Nancy, was we asked our followers, say, hey, if anybody was there that day, you have pictures, videos, whatever, send it to us just so we can go through it, see if there's anything relevant. We took all that information and compiled it into a just one digestible report of things we thought were relevant and could be helpful. Maybe they're not. Maybe law enforcement's already seen all this and it's nothing new to them. But we just wanted to be transparent about what we received. So going back to your question, the pictures that we received, we did not, as an organization, take any of these photographs. These are all images that we received from people who were trying to help us out and trying to help Nolan's family out.
So you asked the public for help and you got it. You got a treasure trove of photos. And I find this one significant. Guys, we've got an all-star panel, and I would like the all-star panel to look at their screens because I've talked about this before, Brian Trasher, and I'm frankly fed up with attacks on the United Cajun Navy. They're doing something, which is more than all of the haters can say. They're doing something. They have amassed evidence. They have created a timeline to the best of their ability. They have shared it with us, unlike the autopsy that is complete is being kept secret from us. That said, they're helping. Why trash them? That's, I'm not a shrink. I can't answer that. Let's look at this photo and determine what, if anything, we can discern. Brian, you and I have talked many, many times, and I told you about a serial killer I finally convicted on one case. The jury convicted him. And I proved a lot because of one earring I found in a particular location. The victim was wearing an earring, and the other earring had been sliced out of her ear, and I found it somewhere else, and I learned a lot because of where it was. Now, don't even bother to tell me that this photo that you have produced is not probative of something. The cluster of boats. Number one, I see a lot of witnesses. Trasher, what do we know what time this photo was taken?
We don't know definitively times on all these because even though they're time stamped, it could be a time when it was screenshotted, stamped, not necessarily the original photograph. So we were very careful to denote that in our report that we can't verify timelines, although based on shadows and positions and things like that, we can determine that some of these, as noted, are taken in the late afternoon. One of the things I thought was interesting about some of these photos we got, Nancy, was that a lot of the photos we had seen before were people like in waist deep water. Well, some of the photos we provided show people up, water up to their chest, almost to their neck. And that's not really wading. That's treading water, in my opinion. And that I thought might have been significant to know that many people were, perhaps enjoying some libations, but also in water that might have been a little too deep just to be playing in.
Good point. You also said something else really smart. And I certainly do not want to rely on this, but sometimes you have to, you take the evidence as you find it and you make the most of what you've got. You said you could tell this was late in the afternoon because of the shadowing. I wonder if the tide could tell me anything because how high up the water is. But these people holding drinks, they're not treading water, Trasher. They're standing there. These people are not treading water, and the water is up to their armpits. Is that the photo you're talking about as to where you think some of them are treading water, or are there other photos?
The photo at the top, yeah, you're right. It's about up to their armpit. I think there was one later in the report that that showed some of the kids. This was a screenshot of a social media post and there's 3 boats visible, one fourth boat further in the distance, but a lot of kids on one boat. I say kids, young people on one boat, some on the boat, some in the water. And some of them, it looks, maybe up to the armpit, but some of them, depending on their own height, it looks like it's, I could see a girl holding something in her hand, and the water looks to be pretty close to her neck. So that's pretty far out. Now, we've said several times that Horn Island has a very aggressive slope. So you can be in shallow water and deep water within just a few steps. And once you get into that deep water, you're not as able to keep your feet on the ground if a current comes and pulls you, or God forbid a riptide comes and drags you. So that's why we thought it was significant to know that they were socializing in fairly deep water.
Can we go back to the main photo where the boats are numbered 1, 2, 3, X? Isn't it true, Brian Trasher, that these boats are easily identifiable by I call it a tail number, like you would a plane? Every boat has to be registered, or supposed to be registered. It has a number on it. It often has a name like Triton. One was named Mac Daddy. There were other names. They're registered, and you know who the owner is, and the owner can tell us who was on the boat that day. Is that correct?
Theoretically, yeah. If you can make out the registration number or the name of the boat, if the vessel's name is registered, along with the registration number. Usually that's sometimes only on a Coast Guard document, but sometimes on a state registration, you put the vehicle, the boat name if it's asked for, or if you have one. So that is all possible. I'm told, and we're asked to compare notes with the sheriff's office, which we're doing. But I was told that there's been a lot of people that have been contacted and interviewed, and there's a lot of people who were there that day that voluntarily came forward to tell what they know. And because they might have seen their boats and pictures, said, "Oh, we might want to go ahead and call them, let them know, where we were, who was with us, and what we know." So I commend those people for coming forward, because it's not always easy.
To Marie Pereira joining us, in addition to the Vice President of the United Cajun Navy, who has been there from the get-go trying to help solve the case. Marie Pereira, registered nurse, which is important. But she is a criminal defense attorney and domestic violence expert. She is a violence expert certified advocate. Marie, you saw that. All those people in my book are witnesses. One of them is saying at 7:30, Nolan was nowhere to be seen. Now, I want to see the video or the photo again, because you want to tell me that this guy, Nolan Wells, hit his head and drowned, and none of those people saw what happened? I find that really hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, and that's why it's extremely important that the law enforcement are not too proud to get help from the public. Like you said, if people are sending in videos, they should be using those videos to conduct further investigation. I'm praying that this is a situation like Brian Koberger, where the police department, they were being ragged and being called ranky-dink police, while all the time they were investigating and putting together a case against him. I hope that, because all the time they were saying, "Oh, what are they doing?" It was I think the DA had a long, big beard, which wasn't very conducive to believing he knew what he was doing, but they knew what they were doing.
I know, it looked like Leonard Skinner sitting there. Hey, that videos from Officer Tatum's podcast. All this means witnesses to me. And do you remember in the Diddy case, there was actually a toll-free number for victims to call? There were that many victims. Not that it helped at the trial, but that said, I think there needs to be a toll-free number. If you think you have evidence, dial the number. If you have photos like the United Cajun Navy is doing, they asked for the public's help. They got the public's help, and there's more to get. That's what is needed now. Every picture, every video. How often have cases been cracked when someone spots something in a picture they hadn't noticed before, or their memory is jogged by a photo or information they've seen online? I've pointed to this a million times. Brian Trasher, the Gabby Petito case. Her body would never have been found if it weren't for amateur sleuths. I believe their name is Red, Blue, and Methane. They were a couple out in the middle of nowhere in dispersed camping where there are no porta potties, no lights, no hookups, no anything. It's just you and the wild animals. I've camped and dispersed before. They're out there and they see a vehicle and they go, that's Gabby's Ford Transit. And they call authorities who would never have gone to this dispersed camping area, and they find her remains. That's how the case was cracked. Who knows what photo, what tip United Cajun Navy or law enforcement or the Nolan Wells team might get that might crack this case wide open. So that said, Brian, how did you create this timeline? I find it very interesting.
So first of all, going back to your comment about internet sleuths, a lot of people consider themselves internet sleuths, but some people really are good. And there's one young lady who's helped us out on many cases, who was very helpful in this case. I haven't asked her permission yet if I could say her name, but if she gives me permission and I come back on, I'll be happy to give her credit for all the help she gave us. But basically, what we did was we took these pictures, we juxtaposed them to, like Google Earth and satellite pictures of the island to try to determine exactly where they were. We looked at the initial coordinates called out from I think from the Coast Guard or from Marine Patrol when the missing persons report first went out, and basically just try to run these pictures against each other to say, okay, this boat's here now, it's not here later, and again, just create an index. We had to use some software to help us create the index of the pictures and make sure we put it into the best timeline we could. We included social media posts that, may or may not have been definitive, but this was happening in real time. So we thought it was important to put those up there to create context. And so again, just trying to, our goal was to take what we've received, put it into a digestible format that just about anybody could understand, hopefully. And if it's helpful, great. If it's not, then I don't think, no harm, no foul,
To Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, based on this timeline, and it may be refined as the days go forward, how does it shift the timeline? Because there is a group of people fighting at 5 p.m. Who are they? The friends say they leave at 4:31. That should be able to be verified through GPS. 5 p.m. Nolan, according to them, is still at Horn Island. Is he? Because by 7:30, witness states Nolan nowhere in sight. So where was he? He wasn't floating in the water. He wasn't on the shore. If he had, hold on, Dave, to Joe Scott Morgan, if he had drowned, wouldn't he be floating in the water?
Perhaps. I've seen bodies in the immediate that will go directly to the bottom. And there are those that do in fact float. So a lot of it is going to depend upon the temperature of the water many times. A lot of it's going to depend upon, is there anything else out there that could, let's see, how can I put this, that could in fact impede the body's ability to float to the top, like beneath a boat. And as you can see, there are a lot of boats out there. So if in fact that had occurred, you can actually have bodies that will be caught beneath other vessels. I've worked cases like that where they were looking around for someone and they couldn't find them because the whole area was surrounded by vessels. And so there are a lot of elements that go into this, Nancy.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here.
Okay, so this is one of Nancy's commercials.
If you are,
so we're gonna try to just stop real quick and talk about what we just heard. They're talking about the timeline and things like that. If you can, guys, please stop and hit the like button. I'm gonna ask you again to please stay on topic and please stay respectful in the comment section. It is not that hard. You claim to be the most intelligent people in the world. I don't agree, but you claim to be. So with that being said, stay on topic. Thank you very much.
hard debt using their home equity to pay off credit card debt. No upfront fees. It costs you nothing to find out what you could be saving. And if you start today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. American Financing, 866-888-0344. Repeat, 866-888-0344. Or just go online to americanfinancing.net/Nancy. Disclaimer, NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, APR for rates in the 5S start at 6.327% for well-qualified borrowers. Call 866-888-0344 for details about credit costs and terms. Go to http://www.americanfinancing.net/Nancy. Average savings are based on borrowers who save over $199.99. And good luck. The photo we keep showing you is on page 12 of the United Cajun Navy report. It shows 3 boats and more anchored side by side. Boat number 3, the Palm Beach, and also the Triton, we believe, which is the boat that took Nolan to Horn Island. It's also the boat that reportedly leaves, according to the occupants, without Nolan. They claim they begged him to board their vessel, but he said no. Let me understand this. According, Caitlin Becker, according to the mysterious Katie, not that mysterious because her sister has posted and we've obtained her photo, we think. She says he left with his friends. They say he stayed with her. Okay, that's a problem.
Yep. That's a problem. And there are also quite a few friends that he had come out with. So the Triton that he was on, there were 3 or 4 people on that particular boat. That's the one that he had come out on, and the one that his friends say, we asked him to get back on the boat. He didn't get back on the boat. His phone was on the boat. We left. We took on water. We needed help. He said he was going to stay to talk to this mysterious, as you said, Katie. Mysterious Katie says that she talked to him for a minute. It was no big deal. Then his friends called him back, and that's where he went. And she just assumed he went back on the boat with his friends. The issue I think that we're running into here is that the friends weren't just the 4 that you're seeing right here. There were multiple boats, 3 boats full of friends that came out. So could he have been going back to a second boat full of his friends while the Triton was gone, or were they referring to the Triton itself? That, I think, is where the biggest bit of confusion lays.
Dave Mack, question. Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, didn't at the get-go the friends on the boat state they didn't know the name of the girl? They didn't know who she was. They had never seen her before. I'm paraphrasing. We can look up their exact words. Then does it turn out they're actually texting with her about where is Nolan?
Apparently, Nancy, you have to realize a couple things here, and it's getting lost in the muck and the mire, is the friends. We use the term Nolan's friends that he went to Horn Island with. Well, you know what, Nancy? Many people have said that he didn't know Katie, they didn't know Katie before that day, and that Nolan just started talking to her. But now it appears that they, being the group of friends, were communicating with Katie and knew who she was, and that during the...
Then why would they say they didn't know who she was? Call her some girl, a girl.
Well, here's the problem, Nancy, is I keep hearing friends, but you realize that Nolan, he went out to Horn Island on a boat. You know, Warren Hudson has talked a lot. He's been with Officer Tatum talking about, his best friend Nolan and the whole thing. But first of all, Warren did not go to Horn Island on the same boat as Nolan Wells. And we have heard over and over from parents and friends, he would, run with the one that got you there, right? So Nolan went with one boat and they expected he would return on the same boat. Yet we're now finding out that was never the plan. He was never going back on the same boat that took him to the island. So when we talk about this group of friends, Nancy, they were scattered on 3 or 4 different boats. And we keep focusing on the one with the bilge pump problem. But now, what boat was Nolan Wells supposed to be going back to the mainland? We know he didn't ride with Warren Hudson to the island. So where was he supposed to be on?
Brian Trasher joining us, Vice President, United Cajun Navy, on the case from the very beginning. Brian, do we know the time of the CETO call made from the Triton?
We do. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know it's been reported, and obviously the CETO would have the exact time of that recording and stuff in their archives. But it seems like it was after 3 o'clock, before 4:30, and we know that the tow was canceled because somebody got in touch with Bart Edmondson, who ended up towing the boat himself, being a good Samaritan. And of course, now that poor guy is getting raked over the coals just for being a good, what we try to tell everybody to be, neighbor helping neighbor.
Now, didn't the grandpa call and cancel the tow?
Yeah, I think that I saw that report as well, and it may have been that somebody contacted him and said, hey, we got somebody to tow us. So maybe he called because he had a better signal and said, hey, they don't need it anymore. Again, these are all kind of, the things that were already out there. I don't think we included too much about that in our report because it had been reported on so much. But I also just wanted to point out too, on the photo on page 14, this is one that we included, even though we could, there's a young man that matches Nolan's description. And I'm saying it that way because we can't verify that it's him in this picture. And he's partially in it because there's a girl blocking him, but it's a young, slender African-American male wearing blue swim trunks from what you could see in the picture. According to the person that submitted that photo, it was taken at approximately 4:50 p.m. Central Time on July 4th, which would have been after the GPS data says that the Triton had left Horn Island. Now, that's only relevant if this young man in the picture actually turns out to be Nolan. We never could verify it, but we thought it was important enough to at least include as a possibility.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here.
I see that you guys do not like to follow instructions. So my question to you guys, the people that are against us talking about Nolan, why are you here? Do you guys know that's how Austin ended up dead? Bullying. Because you stand in my comments knowing that we are here to seek justice for Nolan Wells is equivalent to bullying. You guys just don't know how to learn your lesson, do you? It's just instilled in you to be a damn bully. Exit stage left. Hit the like button on your way out, too.
Stream it first on Fox 1. I hope to see you there, and thank you, friend.
You are now seeing the photo that Brian Trasher from United Cajun Navy has provided on page 14 of their new timeline report. We're blowing it up. We see 1, 2, 3 at the forefront, 3 white females in bikinis, 1 white male walking along. Now, beside the woman in the bikini on the right, I see 2 people. One looks like a female furthest away, but between the white female and the other female, there is an African-American male. That does not look like Nolan Wells to me. Okay, I'm going to have to bring in NASA to enhance this. Brian Trasher, does this guy have facial hair? That's not Nolan.
Again, we couldn't verify, but we could tell that it was an African-American male on the beach wearing blue swim trunks. We thought that was enough to say, okay, it's possible, but we did
those
like
are
you
dark
said.
blue.
Skin tone,
aren't those deep, dark blue?
It looks like it, but Nancy, I don't know if this picture's been enhanced. I don't know if it's been filtered. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's the whole reason why we couldn't corroborate, but it was like, okay. And also too, this does create a good picture of a flotilla of boats. So where if we were looking for a particular one, it was a good one to hang on to. So again, fully disclosing that we could not definitively say whether that was him or not. Probably not.
But we need it for the investigation. We need it. And you provided it.
Rule it out.
You got it.
Use it to rule it out.
Okay,
Rule it
so
out.
is this Nolan? If it is Nolan, this is at 450 and proves he's still on the island when the other boat, the Triton, leaves. I don't think this is Nolan. But that's just my own two eyes, 2020 and 20.
That is not Nolan Wells. The shorts are darker blue. The legs are thicker. That is not Nolan Wells. Period.
18. It needs to be enhanced. Joining us now, veteran trial lawyer out of the South Carolina jurisdiction, John Mobley, the founder of the John Mobley Law Firm. See, a lot of people would say, oh, this is a nightmare, all these witnesses. I would have a field day interviewing each witness separately. It's like a bonanza. What do you make of what you're hearing, Mobley?
Well, Nancy, I got to call it like I see it. I reviewed this report in detail. I don't think it puts any points on the board. I don't think it moves the needle. If anything, I think it shows everyone that has opinions out there how difficult it is to find reliable information. Because one thing I will have to say about this report, although I didn't find it particularly useful, is that, it sourced all of its information, and unlike a Netflix documentary where people will form opinions on second and third hand information, it would say, this person said this, but this person didn't witness it firsthand. This person repeated what someone else said. Or it said, this person made this statement on Facebook. I mean, even the digital information, the photos, those aren't reliable because, number one, like they say, you can't corroborate the timestamp. It could be the timestamp could be when the photo was screenshot versus taken. Or even the last one we looked at, they're saying they can't say it was reliable because it could have been enhanced, with the color manipulated. So I think it just goes to show how difficult it is to find any real reliable information on this case.
Mobley, no offense, but you're wasting my time. I got 1 hour tonight, and you just wasted almost 1 minute of it. Every investigation starts somewhere. Let me just understand something. You have tried a lot of cases, right? That's what I was told.
A ton. And I won most of them.
Nothing like tooting your own horn. Bonk, bonk. That said, every investigation starts somewhere. Yes, I don't have the timestamp, but I can get the timestamp because I know about the photo. You start somewhere. Then you start digging, and then you find out what time it was taken. Then you find out if it was enhanced. Then you find out, is that Nolan at 4:50 and the boat has left? You enhance that audio we keep playing. You find out if they're saying Nolan's dead. I don't know if that's real or not, but I can find out if it's real. So for you, a trial lawyer like yourself, in your own words, won most of them, evidence is not handed to you, Mobley, on a silver platter on top of a Christmas tree. You have to find it. You have to investigate it. And that is the point of this timeline from the Cajun Navy. They're giving us a plethora, a cornucopia of evidence for us to start with. What? Don't waste another minute. Don't do it.
It takes you down a rabbit hole of information that may not be reliable. The best thing to do is to talk to
Man, who is paying you? Because it ain't me. We don't pay guests. Rabbit hole, my rear end. Objection, my rear end. A rabbit hole? That's like you get a list of witnesses and go, yeah, I don't have their addresses. Screw it. You have to find them. You have to find the people that took these pictures. You have to find the people that were on those boats after you ID the boats. Then you have to take them one by one and interview. You know what? I'm sending him to the corner and let him think about what he just said. Trasher, that's a tiny taste of what you're about to get. Hey, Caitlin Becker joining us, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of NY Postcast. That's her podcast. Caitlin, what do you make of the photos and the timeline created this far by the United Cajun Navy? Come on, it's something. We've got something. We're not getting anything from the government. We don't have the autopsy. We don't have any information. Nothing. They've gone radio silent.
It's exceptionally helpful to have these things laid out in this way with coordinates and times and pulling in some of the relevant social media information while also noting that it hasn't been verified. It's giving us, I think, the most comprehensive timeline that we could possibly have. I mean, not to push back, because I feel like you push back so much on that poor man, but the rabbit hole is the internet. The rabbit hole is reading every single person's theory. This is concrete information. And when it's not concrete, it says this hasn't been verified. This is at least giving me, from an investigative standpoint as a journalist, somewhere to focus my efforts, to focus my search. The thing that stands out to me are all of the people, like you said, potential witnesses, but also how similar everyone is dressed. They're all in bathing suits, and all the boats look pretty similar to me too. So that, to me, indicates that someone who's saying, I saw this person on this boat, I saw that person on that boat, might not be super clear on that, because as I'm looking at this image, everybody kind of looks the same. All the boats kind of look the same, which does muddy the waters even more and makes talking to them so
I've got
critical.
to work with you before I put you on the stand, girl. No. You are not getting up there and saying, they all look the same to me. No. We would get the name of the boats. We would find who was out on the boat that day from its owner, and I would ask them who's on the boat. I would not rely, no offense, on your boozy eyesight from 30 yards away. Okay, no offense, Kate.
Nance, neither would I. Neither would I.
But there are ways to, contrary to what Mobley just blurted out, there are ways to find these witnesses and nail them down. If that photo is Nolan Wells and it doesn't look like Nolan to me, then he's on the island at 7 p.m. Okay. Now, let me remind everybody that the guys on the boat, the Triton with Nolan, they're not charged with anything. They are presumed innocent. So don't be starting up the death threats and all that on them. We need them interviewed separately if they hadn't already been. Who knows what we can learn from them? Don't attack them. I want you to hear what one of them said, though, about the mysterious Katie.
I didn't wake up again until a little after 11 o'clock. And that was to my brother coming in the room being like, hey, Warren's trying to get a hold of you. Warren gets on the phone and he's just like, hey, man, he was like, hey, have you talked to Nolan? Anything else? I was like, no, I haven't talked to him, man. He was with that girl last time I knew. And he was like, okay. He was like, man, we can't get a hold of him. We don't know where he's at. And I was like, man, it's Nolan. He's probably just out somewhere with that girl. Like, get a hold of the girl. You'll probably find Nolan.
Okay, right there, I'm getting a red flag. That's from the Officer Tatum podcast, who joined us recently. That girl, the mysterious Katie. Remember, nobody who knew who she was. But then later, Dave Mack, do we learn that one of the guys on the boat had been texting with her and knew full well who it was? Where did the name Katie come from?
Katie was known to at least one person in the group, and that leads you to believe there were certainly more. There were a number of comments publicly made by friends of Nolan that backtracking, claiming they didn't know who Katie was, had never seen her before, and then you find out, yeah, well, not only did they know her, but they were texting around about her. So there's a lot of missing information here, Nancy, and it's why you've said all along, why are these guys not on a polygraph?
Marie?
Just because we're having a lot of people coming up with a lot of different theories, I agree with Caitlin. Not every theory deserves the breath of air. It's not all true. I think it could confuse the search for justice when we're entertaining every single person who posts every single theory, even when it makes no sense. And I have to bring my friend out of probation and say that you can't, go according to every single piece of information you get. It has to make sense to warrant the investigators taking time to investigate. And the fact that they're not sharing with us, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing it all. There's no law that says they have to share everything they're finding out with the public.
All right, guys, Nancy Grace has another commercial going on. Again, I guess I have to stop to say, please hit the like button. if you don't mind, and share the live. Also, please stay respectful in the comments. Jeez. Louise, doesn't make any sense. You're like terrible toddlers in the comments. I don't even know why you're over here anyways if you're not here for justice for Nolan Wells. This doesn't make any sense. No self-control. Never had any. Ridiculous. Let's keep going.
Their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if you're a victim of fraud, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Protect your home equity today. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Nancy, or just use the link below. And good luck. What you're seeing now is a post made by Katie's sister. Katie had a convo, assumed Nolan was getting ready to get on the boat he came out in. Katie made it home on another boat. Katie assumed the friends telling him, get on, wouldn't have left without him. Okay, so he says, I'm going back with my friends. She thinks he got on the boat. The mystery girl Wells reportedly stayed behind to speak with has been identified. Now, at the get-go, we were told no one knew who she was. He had never met her before. He had just met her and was talking to her. But her sister provides a different account of what happened. Whenever I see a conflict in the evidence, I have a problem. This is all unfolding as we go to air tonight. We wait for that toxicology report. We wait for the autopsy to be revealed. We wait for a witness list to be produced. At this hour, reports a grand jury is convening to amass evidence, much the way the Cajun Navy did. If you know or think you know anything regarding this case, dial 228-769-3063. 228-769-3063. There's been a lot of questions regarding this number. That is the number for law enforcement. We remember an American hero, Deputy Sheriff Bradley.
All right, guys.
Link.
So that
Link
is
County Sheriff's.
Okay, guys. So that is the end of Nancy's show. I want to thank everybody for the gifts that you have sent the channel, for blessing the channel. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. So what do you all think? Let's read some comments before we get into our next segment. Thank you so much again for the gifts. I'm gonna skip over these crazy comments because they're disrespectful and it's just so many of them. I guess I just don't understand their obsession with Black people that are seeking justice. It's just crazy work to me. But we do have another clip that I want to watch. It was the latest interview with Ben Crump, giving an update on I think the channel is The Art of Dialogue. So let's just read some comments. Okay, so that's a stupid comment because Carmelo not leaving did not warrant the bully Austin and Hunter to put his hands on him. Okay, if you can't get that out of this whole situation, then something is really mentally wrong with you. The root of the issue was when they reached out and touched Carmelo's tool came out of his backpack and reached out and touched them back, and here we are. Stop being silly, because this is not the channel for you if you don't understand that. See, what you should have did is went home and told your children, your mama, your cousin, your husbands, your nieces and your nephews to keep their damn hands to themselves. But instead, you want to try to gaslight people in our comments. It's free Carmelo on this channel, and it's also justice for Nolan Wells. Stop playing with us. Stay out of our business. Stop thinking that we punks, and stop thinking that you're superior and we're inferior. Or you're going to find some more Austin Metcalfs out there situations, because we're tired. Now, I can't even get to the comments because I done got messed got upset. Anyway, let's get to some comments. Thank you so much, dear. Thank you for all the gifts that you are sending us. It is so imperative that we still talk about Nolan, Carmelo, everybody. I try very hard to ignore these people that come to the channel every single day just to troll us for no reason. And they want us to believe that racism no longer exists. They want us to try to gaslight us to make us believe that it's us that's doing this. You're on our channel. You're on my channel. I'm not white. And I don't have nothing against white people. I love them. And I recognize there's some beautiful white people in this world. They're in the chat, minding their business. Why can't you do the same? Are you kidding me? I'm at a daycare. Say something that's stupid. Say something that's stupid. Call me something else. Say it again so I can ban your ass. All right, I just need to go to the next video. Let's watch this video because I'm getting heated and I need to take a minute to pray, y'all, because this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This is a very sensitive topic. Mississippi is not talking. The autopsy has been sealed. Secret grand jury indictments are going on. The friends are not talking. What the hell? And the most recent photo that came out, and I'm trying to find that video, it looked like that Katie allegedly may have been on the boat when the CETO call was made. Allegedly. That's what's been reported. I have not been able to independently verify that, but a very credible investigator has. So, let's get to the videos and try to figure out what happened to this kid. Jesus. Did I get to the right video or did I put the same one up? I put the same one up. My apologies, guys. I'm getting thrown off my game here. This is really crazy. Let's get into this.
Ben Crump, happy to have you, my man.
Turn the music
Thank you,
down.
sir. Pleasure to be with you.
Ah, man, it's a pleasure having you. I mean, it's so much I want to ask you. It's so much I want to get into. I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to take up that much of your time. Nolan Wells, for the people that's unfamiliar with that case, can you break that down?
Certainly. Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old black teenager who on 4th of July was celebrating with his friends, and he went out on Horn Island. He went with his 3 other friends, at least what we have in the photograph, and they were young white teenagers. He was the only black teenager, and somehow they all came back home safely on the 4th of July, but Nolan Wells did not come home. His mother, their families announced that he was missing. They were, out of their mind with concern. And then his body was found washed up on shore 2 days later, face down, dead. And so then everybody started to try to say, well, what happened? When you look at the videos, there were 300, 400 people out there. And what we've been saying, somebody knows something, somebody saw something. There was a young lady named Katie who said that, she was talking to Nolan, but then he got back on the boat with the people he came with, or got back on the boat with the boys. And the boys who were on the boat with him said, Nolan said he was going to stay behind with Katie, and that he was not going to go back with them. One of the things that has been bewildering is the fact that if he says he's going to stay behind, why doesn't an 18-year-old get their cell phone? If they're not going to go with the boat, why would they leave it with them? His mother, called his phone 3 times, got no answer after they started getting concerned. and it was when they did the Life 360, trying to say, find my phone, is when she found out that the phone were with the friends. And so her friend went to get the phone. And when they got the phone back, they discovered that there were a lot of Snapchat messages that were deleted. They also found that there were some texts deleted. So that was very concerning to them as they're trying to figure out, what happened to my child? Our child is dead and we have no answers. Nobody's telling us anything. And so it became just an incredibly painful ordeal for them trying to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And then America became engaged in this matter because it wasn't adding up to anybody. He says, I'm gonna stay behind, but he leaves his cell phone. He doesn't have his car keys. Well, if he's staying behind and you don't have any of that information, people are saying, did he stay behind? And so that becomes a question. And, obviously there's this CETO audio that comes out that people have did forensic audio engineering on it to try to see what was being said on the audio recording of the CETO kind of 911 type call. And it's in that call that people say they hear certain things. We have retained audio engineering experts to be able to decipher and to render expert opinions on the validity of the CETO 911 audio that seems to suggest things about the presence of Nolan. And so we are trying not to speculate, we're trying to investigate, but we are asking questions that don't add up to us. And that's what everybody's been doing, because everybody says, how can this 18-year-old college football player who's in tip-top shape just go missing and nobody knows anything? Nobody's seen anything. And the sheriff within, hours after he was discovered, his dead body, they claimed that, that no foul play, accidental drowning is what they suggest. And his family are saying, we can't accept that when you make that conclusion without doing no investigations. And so what they want is a full, impartial, fair investigation into what happened to Nolan Wells. In our community, we see people investigate it very zealously. And so we want the same thing for our children. We want them to zealously investigate this matter, just as if they would if the roles were reversed. And that's what I think has people in the minority community saying, hold on, we want to know what's on everybody's phone. We want to know social media, because all of that could become very relevant information as to what happened to Nolan Wells.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the woman that Nolan was hanging out with when he was at the island, Katie, her sister, Gracie, came out and said that Nolan intended to go back to the mainland with his friends, right?
Yeah, there seems to be a conflict in what they're saying. They said he stayed with the young lady. The young lady said, no, he got back on the boat. And so, that seems to be one of the biggest issues that everybody is trying to figure out, as well as the independent autopsy where he had red discoloration at the back of his brain that was found in the second autopsy, and also the fact that the initial state medical examiner kept possession of Nolan Wells' throat. And we don't know why they did that. Our pathologist, Dr. Roger Mitchell, said when he was the chief medical examiner for the city of Washington, D.C., that they normally would do that it wasn't uncommon if they suspected that there might be some fracture or some compressions to the throat.
So after y'all did the autopsy, from what you know, what do you believe that was on the back of his neck?
We can't speculate. We know that we think Dr. Roger Mitchell should have the benefit of looking at all the autopsy notes and observations and photographs from the first autopsy, and then have, the state medical examiner be able to look at all of his notes from the second autopsy and try to work together to figure out what conclusions that they can draw from the autopsies, both of them. And then also waiting for toxicology. That becomes a factor in finding out the manner and cause of death. But Dr. Mitchell said, and this is a very, very important, he said, if it's a drowning, then that still doesn't answer the whole question of what happened to Nolan Wells, because he said then there are questions about, was Nolan Wells' condition of his body conscious or unconscious when he went into the water? Furthermore, he said, did he go into the water unforced or forced? He said all those things become factors.
Makes a lot of sense. And I know his friend Warren Hudson, he came out with an interview where he made a statement about how Nolan, he was drinking liquor on the boat. You heard about that?
Well, we don't.
Okay, Truth Gang, I got one statement to say. Please try to ignore these people that have been paid and sent, and bots have been paid to swarm every channel that is trying to find some solace and peace and justice for our young black kings and queens. They come here to deliberately try to incite violence. Their sole motive is to take your concentration off of the information that is being given through these interviews and the information that I am giving as well. I'm going to ask you, don't even respond. I'm trying to get them out as soon as I see the stupid comment. The most important thing to do, and the most important things that we have to really do and pay attention to, is being said in the information that's, being given to us. And I know it's hard because I just snapped. I mean, I really want to fight a dozen, you know what I'm saying? But they're online bullies. They cyber thugs. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna do nothing in real life, and we know that. So I'm gonna ask you to please don't engage. Let them burn out. Okay? Let them burn out. The non-factors. Okay? The call. Damn it, Bart. Warren said it. All that. That's what's important. All right? Let's get back to the video. Okay, so which video was it? Oh, here it is. Thank you for your patience.
No, we want the toxicology to come. We know when you hear the CETO audio call, it appears that there was some intoxication. But again, toxicology can tell us that. And people's firsthand eyewitness testimony can tell us that. We want answers, as I've said over and over again. I am for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. I am for justice, no matter who it convicts or who it acquits. And I am certainly for transparency, so all of us can see and we can have trust in the system that this was a fair, impartial, and complete investigation. That's what everybody would want if this was their child.
Amen. Amen. And that's that. That sums it up right there. And the fact that they really think that people are here saying those boys, those boys, those boys. It's yes, there are some people that think that, right? Not gonna lie. And honestly, when the friends lawyer up, they stay silent. Their stories don't add up. They tell lies. Then what do you expect us to think? Answer that. Because Warren told lies in this interview, and I wasn't gonna play it again, but I want you to hear the lies that he told one more time before I let this interview go, because I'm tired of seeing Officer, what is his name? Tatum. I don't even like hearing this guy. I really don't even believe that he's really worth my time. But I want you to hear Warren lie. Because I believe Nolan made it back to the house. That's my opinion. And it's my right. I can believe that. Because when he said that they ran up to, how you going to run on water? You not Jesus Christ, so what you run up to? But anyway, let's listen to him. Let's listen to him real quick, and then we'll get to the next segment. Not Jesus. What you run on?
A lot of people that left phones on the boat, not that didn't, had been drinking all day and just, drank too much and was super intoxicated. And, that's kind of what a lot of us thought, but they were kind of losing it and they were going crazy. And the mom that was with them demanded Nolan's phone, because Nolan left the phone on the boat. And when we ran in, Nolan didn't ask for his phone.
Okay, so when you ran in where? Okay, so Nolan left his phone on the boat. Is that what we just heard? His very next sentence is when we ran in. Nolan didn't ask for his phone. The last man I knew that could walk or run on water was excuse me, I'm gonna call him Jesus. Some of you call him Yeshua. They're the same to me. Okay? So what you run on? Warren? That's what I want to know. See, Warren said it. And Bart must have did it because, damn it, Bart was in the record. I'm just going to keep playing. I'm going to rewind it one more time. Y'all mad at us. Be mad at Warren. He's the one that said it. The F?
I've seen the mom before, and I know most of them. Most of the guys went to high school with me. And, I'm friends with some of the guys. I mean, I know some of them. So eventually, things started to get heated, and I was just a guy I was friends with in high school. He was like, "Man, come outside with me," and I was like, "All right." And I walked outside with him. He was like, "Man, I don't know why." They're panicking, and this is just I think Nolan's just on somebody's couch. He's been drinking all day. He's just messed up, and this is nothing that we have to worry about. As much as I sat there and I told him, I was like, I agree. I would think, he's on somebody's couch, just had been drinking all day and just, drank too much and was super intoxicated. And, that's kind of what a lot of us thought, but they were kind of losing it and they were going crazy. And the mom that was with them demanded Nolan's phone, because Nolan left the phone on the boat. And when we ran in, Nolan didn't ask for his phone, and his keys were not on the boat because his car was parked at my.
Guys, did you hear that? When we ran in, Nolan did not ask for his phone. Is that what he just said? Again, you cannot run on water. Am I right or am I wrong, guys? Is that what he did? When we ran in, Nolan did not ask for his phone. When we ran in, we got back. from the island. We ran into the house. Nolan didn't ask for his phone, and his keys were still at my buddy's house. Is that what you just heard? Because see, that's what I just heard. But let's keep going.
My buddy's house where we had all slept, you know, the night before the 4th. And so the keys were left at the house because he didn't, Nolan's car was at my buddy's house where we stayed at. So of course he left his keys there. But his phone, I mean, he was drinking. He didn't have his phone in the water because no one did. And I mean, there was more than just Nolan's phone that wasn't on the boat with us.
Y'all hear that part? Did you hear that part? There was more than just Nolan's phone that was not on the boat with us. There was more than just Nolan's phone that was not on the boat with us. Not on the boat with us. Let me rewind it.
You know, he's on somebody's couch, just had been drinking all day and just, you know, drank too much and was super intoxicated. And, you know, that's kind of what a lot of us thought, but they were kind of losing it and they were going crazy. And the mom that was with them demanded Nolan's phone because Nolan left the phone on the boat. And when we ran in, Nolan didn't ask for his phone and his keys were not on the boat because his car was parked at my buddy's house where we had all slept, you know, the night before the 4th. And so the keys were left at the house because Nolan's car was at my buddy's house where we stayed at. So of course he left his keys there. But his phone, I mean, he was drinking. He didn't have his phone in the water because no one did. And I mean, there was more than just Nolan's phone that wasn't on the boat with us.
So it was more than just Nolan's phone that was on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, we all
see, Warren, he got out of script. So Officer Tatum had to come back and redirect him to the script. Did y'all catch that? Warren said Nolan's phone was not on the boat with them. Right? And then here come Officer Tatum. Wait a minute, Warren. Ding, 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 ding. You off script, my boy. Let me redirect you, my boy. Remind you of your lines, my boy. I'm gonna let it go, but I ain't gonna never let it go because he's lying. And when you have people lying and you have them lowering up, and then you attack us just for asking what happened to Nolan, then I know that it's an alleged cover-up going on. And I said what I said.
Obviously had all our phones, but on the boat, but those weren't the only people. Like Nolan wasn't the only person that left a phone on the boat. There was a lot of people that left phones on the boat, not that didn't ride out or in with us. So we okay. I mean, there was a couple phones that we had.
Just a second, because Hakeem has a question. Hakeem wants to know: have you ever thought about he's nervous and being effing accused of something, murdering his friend? Hakeem, first of all, I don't believe your name and your profile picture. Okay, not one bit do I believe that you are one of me. All right, but let me entertain you, sir. Truth doesn't make you nervous. Stay in your truth. Walk in your truth. You don't got to be nervous if you just tell the truth. Okay, so the gaslighting don't work here. So when you said earlier, let me get off this live, you were absolutely right, because I'm going to call you out on it. You don't get nervous when you are telling the truth, especially when you're not black. Now, you might get nervous when you're black because they don't care if you tell the truth or not. If their aim and goal is to lock you up, you're going to get locked up. He's privileged. He's privileged. He ain't got to be nervous if he's telling the truth. Let's continue, because that's the last time I'm going to entertain some crazy comment like that.
It belonged to, and my buddy's got that figured out, you know, but it wasn't just Nolan's phone that, you know, was on the boat that who wasn't there, you know. There was a lot of phones.
So when they barged in, they started getting frantic. the mom asked for Nolan's phone.
Right.
Was there a struggle over it, or did you guys hand it over?
I mean, just handed it over.
Wait.
I mean, we didn't think anything of it. Like,
Wait. When they barged in, see, I didn't even catch that the last time. Why did they even have to barge in? What is that? What is that word for? Hold on a second. Barge. When who barged in?
Phones on the boat, not that weren't that didn't ride out or in with us. So we I mean, there was a couple phones that we had that we didn't know who they belonged to, and my buddy's got that figured out, but it wasn't just Nolan's phone that was on the boat that who wasn't there. There was a lot of phones.
So when they barged in, they started getting frantic. The mom asked for.
Wait a minute, guys. That's very important. Why? First of all, let me put my whole face on the screen. Why do the parents looking for their child have to barge in? You said that Nolan was your best friend and that Nolan was like your brother. So if you knew that Nolan was missing and you had already talked to Mrs. Wansley, you should have been at their house with his phone and his keys. Let's keep it 100. You should have been pulling up in an Uber if you didn't have a way at his house. So what do you mean when they barged in? Does that make sense to any of you guys? Why? What would be the need for them to have to barge in? Hey, Princess. Hey, John. Hey, everybody. Am I hearing this right? All right, let's get back into it. See, that's why it's important that you got to read, you got to listen to things and read things over and over again, because barged in for what? Mr. Best Friend? Mr. Brother?
Or Nolan's phone.
Right.
Was there a struggle over it, or did you guys hand it over?
I mean, just handed it over. I mean, we didn't think anything of it. Like, she asked for Nolan's phone. We knew they were close friends with, the Wells family, and my buddy went out to his truck and handed the phone over.
That's not true. That's not true, Warren. It took you guys 15 minutes to give them the phone. 15 minutes. So where was your buddy's truck? 20 miles down the road, he had to walk and hitchhike back. This is diabolical, and then they mad at us. They mad at us for asking questions. They mad at us for saying his name. They're mad at us. They're mad. They're covering autopsies, grand juries, all kind of stuff. Witnesses, lawyered up, judges coming out making statements. All this craziness, attacking us on a daily basis. Y'all lucky y'all doing it online. I'm just going to say, you're cyber bullies, and we understand that. But come on now, be realistic. You're attacking a mother, all for asking what happened. I ain't gonna cuss not today, Lord. I ain't.
Complications, no issue, nothing. But I mean, I told Miss Christine that we had his phone and he had left it in our possession on the boat.
When did you? Miss Christine is Nolan's mom.
Correct.
When did you talk to her about that?
When I was on, no, I didn't talk to her once. Like it was like 12:30. I mean, I might have texted her a couple times and talked briefly about a couple things, but I told her on the phone before I called the Coast Guard that we had Nolan's phone. Before I called Miss Christine, I asked, I was like, oh, well, where's his location at? Because Nolan has his Snapchat location on for me. And he said, it's Wyatt said it's, in my truck.
Comment.
Everybody who left stuff on the boat, it was Wyatt's boat, so Wyatt put it in his truck, it's normal. And so the phone was in possession in Wyatt's truck. And when that mom came over and asked for it, there was no issue at all with us giving the phone to her. I mean, Nolan just left it on the boat. We handed the phone to her.
You know why I know that he's lying? He got off script. I'm going to tell you why I know that he told Officer Tatum a different story. Because why would Officer Tatum say when they barged in? If somebody didn't say that, why would he ask that question? And when they barged in, what happened? Oh, no, that's not what happened. They didn't barge in. We gave him the phone. It wasn't no. It's not making sense. It's not making sense at all.
That night of the 4th of July.
And did you guys go through the phone or?
Of course not. I mean, well, none of us had a reason to go through Nolan's phone. I mean, there's multiple phones on the boat. Why would it be? And the boat was having issues. Why would our concern be getting on Nolan's phone or something? I mean, I don't even know Nolan's password. None of my friends do. We had no reason ever to get on Nolan's phone and look at anything. I didn't even touch Nolan's phone. None of us touched Nolan's phone until somebody took it off the boat and put it in Wyatt's truck, and then no one touched it until we handed it back, to the mom that was at my buddy's house.
First of all, you're lying again because the phone was not in his truck. The phone was on the game console. So why are you lying? And you guys want to know why we're angry? This is why we're angry. When I say the hashtag Warren said it, and damn it, Bart, it's because of this kid right here. And not only him, Trestation, however you say his name, all of them. He's saying this stuff. He's lying with contradicting statements out there. The young lady got the phone off the game console, not out of Wyatt's truck. Warren. Diabolical.
Did she pick? Was that the only phone that she picked up, or was there other people's phone that they came and got? Or
that I know of, I think that was the only one that she had. Yeah, but I'm not completely sure. I think that's the only one that she took Nolan's. That's it.
And so we're on the 4th, where the night probably going into the morning of the 5th. This happens. Then the dad comes back at some point to get the keys. Right. What happened there? When was this, and what happened?
Well, my buddy Brooks drove me and dropped me off at my house, and I woke up to a text the next morning that Miss Christina texted me, and she said, "Hey, Nolan's dad's there, is there at my buddy's house to pick up the keys." And I didn't think anything of it. I told her that I was praying for her, and that we were out there, and we were doing everything that we could to help out.
And when he came to pick the keys up, was there a confrontation, or? Because I could have sworn I saw on the news that when he came to pick the keys up, it was almost like an altercation because you guys didn't want to give the keys over, or you said you didn't know where the keys were at?
I mean, no, absolutely not. I mean, I wasn't there.
Okay, so here we are again. Who told Officer Tatum that there was like an altercation when, what's his name, Elmore went to got the keys? Where did he get that information from? He's off script again. So that's why Tatum's looking like that. Confused, because somebody told him there was an altercation. Somebody told them that they barged in, and Warren is over here capping, just cap. This don't make no sense. Let's keep going.
But from what my friend told me, they just had to look for Nolan's keys. It's not like, why would we be hiding Nolan's keys? There's no reason to hide anything. This is our friend. We have nothing to hide. I mean, we were trying to do everything that we could to help out.
All right. So I want to be clear with this one thing, because I know you mentioned before that you have no reason to touch the phone. Obviously you didn't touch the phone.
Right.
But is there any chance or any knowledge that you have that anybody deleted stuff from his phone?
Absolutely not. I mean, like I said, there was no reason for us to get on Nolan's phone. No one touched Nolan's phone, but nothing. If none of us had touched Nolan's phone, then there's no reason for anything to be deleted. I mean, no one even was in contact with his phone until it was moved from the boat to the truck, and none of us have access to Nolan's password to get on his phone and delete anything. Absolutely not. And we have no reason to delete anything. I mean, there's nothing to hide here. I mean, we have had no reason to delete anything, and we never did.
All right, so I have something I want to make sure that we're clear about, because you had mentioned earlier that you saw Nolan cradling Katie.
Right.
Her name is Katie.
Yeah, Katie.
I just want you to explain, what does that mean? Some people in their mind, they may think he's cradling like a baby.
Yeah.
Like what is that scenario look like?
He was. I mean, Nolan was off. The last time I saw him, like I said, I was off the bow of the boat, and like I said earlier, if you had jumped off the bow of the boat, you were probably about chest or neck deep in water. So Nolan wasn't like carrying her out the water. She's sitting in the water, and Nolan's arms are under the water, and he's carrying her from under the water. But her head's still out of the water. Nolan's head's still out of the water. and I was looking at both of them. So.
Oh, so he's kind of like holding her.
Right.
Kind of like,
in the water, though.
Like we grown, right? There's two people in the water. They feeling each other,
Right.
like meaning feeling they like each other.
Right.
And
that was obvious.
he's a little more close to her, and they're kind of having a moment.
Correct.
Not saying and not insinuating that it's sexual, but
no, of
they're
course not,
they're together. They like each other. You looking at him, you like, bro, you crazy because you know that he like her and he's hanging out with her.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That makes sense. And when was the last time that you saw Nolan? And then when was the last time that someone reported to you that Nolan was seen? If that makes sense.
Yeah, of
you
course.
saw him at a certain point, but then someone else saw him a lot later when you guys were gone.
Right. Okay. So the last time I personally laid eyes on Nolan was at like 3:00, and he was, front of the boat with the girl, and that's the last time I saw him. But there were, I've talked to somebody personally that saw Nolan at 6:00, and someone, we weren't even the last people to see Nolan. Once we left, there was still dozens on dozens of boats around us. And I mean, clearly we were not the last people to see Nolan.
So Warren, I'm going to ask you some very pointed questions. I mean, just straight out.
Okay.
I didn't come down here to, do anything other but to get the truth and for you to have a voice in this.
Right.
And the first thing I want to ask you is, did you kill Nolan?
Of course not.
Did you have anything to do with Nolan's death?
Of course not. And absolutely not.
They say that you guys delete.
Your next question should have been, do you know who could have killed Nolan? That's what your next question should have been. Or did you see anybody hurt Nolan? That's what it should have been. Something. Let me keep going. I'm tired of looking at these people.
He did stuff out of his phone. Did you delete anything out of Nolan's phone?
No, of course not.
The mom act like, or at least she portrayed on television, and the rumors are that you weren't really good friends with Nolan. Is that true or not?
Absolutely not. I hung out with Nolan probably like 3 days a week. I mean, seriously, at least. Some days my friends want to hang out every single day, and Nolan was always there. So,
and obviously people may see this and know the facts later, that you weren't able to go to the funeral or the memorial service.
Right.
Why didn't you go? What was that?
Well, I mean, with everything going on social media right now, and with people saying the crazy things that they're saying, I would never want to take the attention off of Nolan and his family. They don't deserve that. And, for own personal reasons, I mean, I've gotten thousands of death threats. My family's got thousands of death threats. And, for my own safety, I'm not going to put my own health and safety at risk. It breaks my heart that I can't go, and it hurt me more than anything because obviously I want to say my last goodbyes.
First of all, let's just make something clear. Nolan was not your best friend. Nolan was not your good friend, and Nolan was not your brother. Let's just be realistic, because if Nolan was your best friend, Nolan was your good friend, Nolan was your brother, you would know his mother and you would know the father on a very personal level, and you would have been very transparent in the beginning. But that's later on down the line, but let's just stick to July 4th. You would have never, ever allowed your so-called alleviated friend, so-called, on a remote island with no for sure way back home and no phone. Period, point blank. It stops right there, full stop. Guys, I am so tired of listening to him. Can we get to a different video? Or do you guys want to? I guess we can finish. Put a 1 in the chat if you want to finish watching this shit show. Or put a 2 in the chat if we can move to a different clip. I'm here for you guys. You guys let me know how you want me to steer this boat. Okay? You done? Nina's done. 1 done. Oh, wait. 1 is to watch. 2 is to move on. 1 is to watch. 2 is to move on. All right, hold on a second. Yeah, let's move to the next one. Guys, I'll put a link to this video for you guys to click on and watch on your own. But we have, I cannot with these. I just cannot with these actors, these paid actors. Let's get to a new clip from Mr. Stephen Smith. I want to see what this analyst said. Hold on a second. I want to see what he has to say.
Still waiting for more development, still waiting to see what happens. Still talking to the people that get access to information to find out what the hell's going on. Because a lot of us are not going to rest until we find out exactly what happened.
Wait a minute.
That doesn't mean that we irresponsibly go about the business of swearing up and down that we know somebody is guilty and that heinous acts have taken place and that the death of Nolan Wells didn't occur accidentally. We don't know. And it's important to recognize that we don't know. Having said all of that, anybody out there who's objectively going about the business of putting forth a concerted effort to find out what the hell happened to this kid, this 18-year-old out of Mississippi who went on a boat with his friends and ended up being the only one that didn't come home and ended up being the only one that died. Any concerted effort that is made to find out what happened to him is something that we welcome. And by bringing attention to it and consistently mentioning it and recognizing the fact that it's important that we bring attention and we keep bringing attention to stuff like this is something I'm going to do any chance that I get. Not going to belabor it, but when there's stuff there to be discussed or there's people there that's worth talking to, I'm going to do that. Because it's necessary. It's necessary for us to get to a bottom of this. There's a lot of things to talk about in the days and the weeks to come. We got an election taking place in Michigan on Tuesday.
Let me scroll.
And it very well may tilt, Senate rather, may shift elections. Not have to discuss stuff of America, Republicans, whether you're being discussed, meaning that basis important. Because the reality is, it's important to talk about, and that's why I decided to continue to talk about Nolan Wells yet again, because I've got another guest on who knows a thing or two about this case, because he's been following it from day one.
Put the cast up,
My
man.
guest is an attorney, a legal commentator, and the founder of the Law and Crime Network, a multi-platform digital and cable television network that specializes in live gavel-to-gavel courtroom coverage, high-profile criminal trials, and expert legal commentary. Please welcome to the show the one and only Dan Abrams. Dan, how are you, sir? Good to see you. How's everything going?
Stephen A., great to be with you.
Appreciate it, man. Let's get right to it. I mean, the Nolan Wells case is taking on a life of its own, still very much in the news. For those who haven't been following the case, just want to throw this stuff out there that Wells was an 18-year-old college football player from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. On July 4th, he and a group of friends traveled by private boat to Horn Island, an uninhabited barrier island off the coast of Mississippi. Wells was the only black person on the boat, according to reports. He was last seen on the island around 3 p.m. His friends returned to the mainland without him. Dan, first things first, do I have that right, or as new information has been gathered, at least that part is wrong? What can you tell us?
No, look, there's a lot that we don't know still, but we know a lot, actually. You know, like I hear everyone saying, we don't know. It's true. There's some things we don't know, but there's actually a lot we do know about what happened. We know the people who were on the boat. We know about the other friends. And that's kind of one of the biggest things to me about this case, right? Is when you have probably 7 people who were on the boat, if there was something that happened there and somebody's trying to hide it, 7 people together aren't going to be able to keep that a secret.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be able to figure out what happened. If there was something that we don't know yet.
We're seeing it happen right before our eyes. Their stories are not matching. They're not keeping it together. So carry on. I'm listening, but let's be clear. This shit show is not being kept together. It's been covered up.
Or there was something nefarious. And one of those 7 people is going to come forward and tell the truth. So
Well-
that's one of the reasons why.
Warren said it. He told the truth, and Tatum corrected him. But I'm gonna stop interrupting y'all. But I gotta get my commentary. But you're right. Warren told the truth, and so did the Cito call. Told the truth. That's what told the truth. And we are expecting y'all. Mississippi need to cough them boys up.
I'm waiting to see, is there any conflict? And I don't mean about small stuff. I don't mean about, was it, 232 versus 235? Right. Yeah, I'm talking about the big picture stuff. Like, why did he get off the boat? What happened afterwards? If something happened, those 7 people aren't going to be able to keep giving consistent stories. And that's one of the things I want to see as we move forward.
So, Dan, what I would ask you first things first, is it a situation where all 7 haven't been interviewed as of yet? Or is it that there's been no conflict in the evidence that they've provided?
Right. Good question, right? We don't know. Right now, the authorities smartly are not getting into the details of exactly who they've talked to, what they've done. Now, the families of the friends and the people who are on that boat are saying, we're cooperating, and there has been nothing that we have heard so far that suggests they haven't been cooperating with the investigation. And, that's when I immediately start getting suspicious, is when people stop cooperating with the investigation. As far as we know, that hasn't happened here. But you're right to ask, is there a conflict in their stories? We don't know at this point. There's been nothing to indicate that up to this point.
The sheriff initially, the sheriff initially said investigators did not suspect foul play, but the cause and manner of death remain undetermined.
No.
Can you explain why it's remained undetermined?
No. See, now I have to correct you, Mr. Stephen A. Smith. The cause and manner of death on the private individual autopsy says undetermined. The cause and manner on the first autopsy is secret. It's sealed. It's not speaking. So if you're going to teach my audience, I need you to teach them the facts, okay? That's not right. Okay, let's keep going.
And to this point, it's been weeks.
Right. I mean, look, you want to do the autopsy before you officially announce, and the autopsy has been done, but they just haven't announced yet exactly what the results were. As you know, the family also did its own autopsy, which isn't as effective as the first one, right? Because they're getting it afterwards. But there have been autopsies, and we're going to have to see what the results of that are. But, and I heard you talking about this before, about the fact that the police and the authorities came out early on and said, we don't suspect foul play. And I get it, right? In a perfect world, knowing what this case has become, it would have been better if they hadn't said that. But I will also tell you that in almost every case where the authorities don't necessarily suspect a crime, they come out and say it.
Yes.
They say, look, we arrived at the home, the guy had a heart attack. We don't suspect foul play, right? And we don't all go, wait, what? What? Why are you saying that now? Why aren't you waiting for an investigation? We just say, okay, got it. Now, the problem that can occur in some cases will be, well, wait a sec. The authorities said early on that there was no foul play, and now my client is being tried for this case. What happened? That's the danger for the authorities. But I will tell you, it is not out of the ordinary.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this, and I'm going to stop interrupting. Not only is it, what else is not out of the ordinary is that you come forth even before you get a toxicology report and tell the public the cause of death. And there is a difference between cause and manner. And my audience knows what that is. Cause is how he died. Did he drown or did he not drown? Gunshot wound, or was it not? Knife wound, that's cause of death. Manner is to discover, well, what led up to it? Was it an accident? Was it unaliving? Was it self-inflicted? You know what I mean? So it's in millions of cases they've came forth and said, well, the autopsy has been complete, pending toxicology, and it looks like it's drowning. But they're not telling us anything whatsoever, which is very suspicious to me. And I'm going to stop interrupting and I will continue. Thank you guys for your patience.
Out and make that kind of, somewhat declarative statement.
What about your thoughts as it pertains to the impact civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump and his presence? It could be an Al Sharpton giving the eulogy at the funeral. It could be the family, sort of inviting them to ingratiate themselves into the mix in some capacity. What about their presence, if nothing else, and the kind of impact that could have on the reluctance of the police to come out already and tell you what the autopsy has revealed?
Well, I don't think that their presence is going to lead the authorities to be reluctant. And I would judge them more on their actions than their presence, right? And look, I'm concerned. I don't like the fact that Ben Crump is holding press conferences with the families of other young black men who they claim have been mistreated or ignored in some way by the local authorities, right? I don't think that's helpful in the context of this investigation. Let's stick to the facts here. Let's stick to the case here. I get it that the family, Nolan's family, wants more answers. I do not hold anything they do or say against them for wanting to say, hey, I'm not satisfied with what we have so far. I got it. But when Ben Crump starts bringing in other cases and suggesting implicitly, not explicitly, that this is a racial case, I don't think that's helpful. I just don't.
Dan Abrams right here with yours truly, Stephen A. I want to know, is there presently enough evidence even to call this a potential homicide in your estimation? I'm asking that question, obviously, because when you strip away the social media theories, what evidence suggests foul play, what doesn't, whatever the case may be, I'm asking you personally, is there presently enough evidence, according to what you've heard, to call this a potential homicide?
Again, a homicide would mean a death at the hands of another, right? Doesn't have to mean a murder. Could just mean a death at the hands of another, right? And a potential homicide. Look, I haven't seen in the public realm any evidence that indicates that this was a homicide. When you throw in the word potential, what am I going to say? Is it possible? Yeah. I want the investigation to continue. I watched your interview with Nancy Grace, my old friend Nancy Grace. She and I used to co-host a show together. I've known her for 30 years, maybe more. And she said, well, I want to make sure they don't close down the investigation. And you said, well, who's suggesting that they close down the investigation? And that was the right question, which is no one who is actively involved in this is saying, let's shut down the investigation. That's not a real thing. It's just like setting up a straw man so you can knock it down. Of course, they shouldn't end the investigation. This investigation, it should be thorough and it should be transparent. It's really important that we get details. And that's not the case with every investigation, right? As you know, in a lot of investigations, the authorities want to keep things close to the vest, particularly if no one is charged. They don't want to say, well, we looked at this lead and that could implicate this person, but we didn't turn anything up with it. In a case like this, high profile as it is, with the racial undertones, I think the authorities are going to have to be transparent at some point. Doesn't have to be today, and it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but at some point are going to have to be transparent, not just about their findings, but about how and why they came to those conclusions.
Dan Abrams, at this particular moment in time, not speaking definitively, but obviously we haven't heard anything about a distress call. We haven't heard too much about phone records. We haven't heard too much about witness testimony or forensic testing, even though there's been two separate autopsies. Both haven't revealed anything concrete. One was by, the regular examiner, and then the other was by an examiner, hired by the family. One was with his neck, his throat in place. The other was without it. This is the kind of stuff that we've read up about. I'm wondering what could break this case conceivably in your estimation. What is it going to take for this case to be broken and for us to reach a point where we're able to provide some level of a conclusion?
It's a really good question. Look, first, let me say this. If you're going to ask me, what is the thing I'm most focused on and most concerned about in the context of this investigation, in terms of potential wrongdoing, et cetera. I want to know about Nolan's phone, right? Why did he leave his phone? You know, the idea that he's going to stay on the island without his phone, that's the one question that's always kind of made me think, what was happening there? But again, that doesn't implicate anyone. In terms of moving forward, I'm going to be looking at witness testimony. And we talked about this at the outset. I want to know, are there inconsistencies in anything that the people who were on that boat are saying about why they left him? Now, let's take it a step further. Let's even assume for a moment that there are. Let's assume for a moment that the authorities somehow conclude that he was left there and he wanted to come back on the boat, right? Let's say that there was a conflict. Again, we don't know any of this, but let's just hypothetically say that. Even if that happens, that doesn't mean that there was a murder or a homicide, right? That could just mean they got in a fight or an argument and something else happened to him on the island, right? But it is important, going back to your question, to find out, what are the witnesses saying? Is there a conflict? We now know about the woman who, he was talking to on the island, apparently 19-year-old woman. We've heard from her as well. That's important. But as we move forward, I don't think it's going to be, the medical examiner is interesting, right? And people get very focused on this, but medical examiners can also take you down a rabbit hole where you may get obsessed with like little questions about things that in the end aren't really going to be dispositive of what happened to Nolan. You're going to need something more. You're going to need some sort of witness. And considering you're talking about people where it started as, 20 or 24 people, you got tons of people on Horn Island. There's got to be eyewitnesses, accounts that are going to help either be consistent and show that probably nothing bad happened or otherwise.
One friend claimed Wells chose to stay behind to talk to that girl you just alluded to. Wells' family strongly disputes this, stating they raised him to never separate from his group. To that, you say what?
No, that's a fact. I assume he's talking to me. Auntie Leah said that's a fact. We were taught from birth. You go with people, you come back with the same people. You never leave them. You never separate. You never opt to stay behind. And you damn for sure don't do it on a remote island in the middle of the ocean somewhere. No. Now you can answer, Dan. Give me your answer.
Well, I don't know how his family would know whether he did or didn't do it. I also saw a friend of his say, right, that he wouldn't have let, they don't know. I mean, that's great to talk about what someone's general proclivities are. But the bottom line is, go.
I would tell you where I raise my suspicion. If it's true that he let the boat leave, but his cell phone was on the boat.
Concern.
Wait a minute. I don't know any teenagers that don't let something get away. Their phone, their very line of communication, considering the world that we live in today, how attached kids are to their phones. That's their sole line of communications in most instances, whether it be via text messages, calls, emails, etc. I find that very difficult to believe that you just let the boat go away with your phone on it.
And you have to believe that, again, following on what you're saying, that he forgot it, right? As opposed to intentionally left it. But look, I said to you at the outset, what's the one thing that gives me pause, right? It's that. That's the one thing that so far,
and
again,
that's
that
enough.
Doesn't mean there won't be more things, because we don't know about a lot of the things. A lot of them haven't been made public. But of the things that have been made public, that's a bigger concern to me than hearing family or friends saying, well, he's not the kind of guy who would blank, right?
Right.
I'm focused on what is the evidence here. And that's a piece of evidence.
Truth gang, please just ignore them. Truly, they're only here to stir up strife. They're only here to distract us. They're only here to interject and introduce false narratives. Somebody just said, oh, you just want a race war. We don't want a race war. we've actually never wanted any war. The only war that's ever happened in this country, we've never started them. So that's what you want, a race war. So I'm going to ask you guys to ignore them. They're trying to take our attention so we can miss something. Like I missed some things in Warren's interview, and I might just go to sleep tonight listening to it, like I do my audio Bible. Okay. So let's just ignore.
Evidence here that you just cited.
Before I move on, this is my very last question.
I know it is.
Right now, you're looking for what? What is Dan Abrams looking to find out, looking to see that will get us closer to a resolution involving this case? Is it testimony from the police? Is it testimony from the family? What is it that you're looking to find out? What should we all be waiting for right now as a priority?
So if we could see the case file, right? I think the thing that I'd be looking for most are the witness accounts. I'd want to hear and see, what did different people say about why Nolan didn't come back on the boat? But again, as I said to you before, that's only one piece of this, right? Meaning, even if there was an issue about him coming back on the boat, it doesn't mean that anybody on that boat killed him, right? I mean, that's still a separate question. So even if that happened, I still am looking to see, are there any people who are on Horn Island who can give relevant eyewitness accounts to this that can help move this case forward in one way or another?
Based on your level of expertise and who you're connected to, any reason to be suspicious about the investigators? We are talking about a black kid. We are talking about Mississippi, but in the same breath, we want to be fair to law enforcement, and we want to make sure that we don't cast aspersions of guilt upon somebody, and we have no evidence of that whatsoever.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry that this has become a racial case. Right, is only black kid on the boat, Mississippi history, etc. But, on the flip side of this, you hope what was actually the case was that, white kid had black friend, black kid had white friends, right? Like, that shouldn't be like an issue, right? It's sort of incredibly sad that the fact that, black kid and white friends is an issue out there. We get why it can be, but I'm going to say to people, and I'll say it to you, which is, I hope we can stay focused on the evidence and not turn this into a racial case. Mm-hmm. And that's why when you asked me earlier about Ben Crump, I don't have a problem with Ben Crump per se. I do have a problem when he starts linking it to other cases and suggesting that this is of particular concern because of race. And let's give them the benefit of the doubt for now. If it turns out that, look what we've seen in the Savannah, in the Nancy Guthrie case, right? We gave the authorities the benefit of the doubt. Now that we've seen what happened in that case, we know they screwed a lot of things up. All right. They deserve the benefit of the doubt to begin with. But as we've now seen, they made a lot of mistakes. In the vast majority of investigations, that's not the case. So I'm not going to presume that the authorities are doing anything wrong until I see evidence of wrongdoing.
Dan Abrams, appreciate you, man. Appreciate the education and enlightenment. Thank you so much, man. I want to learn about this stuff. You was the person that I thought would be perfect for this. Thank you so much, my man.
Stephen A., always great to see you.
Your same here, buddy. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Well, you heard what he had to say. Makes a lot of sense. You, Nolan Wells, God bless you.
It made no sense whatsoever, but okay, we tolerated it, right? Thank you for the information. You cannot tell black people with our history, with the justice, the judicial system and law enforcement, to basically trust them. As a black person or even as a white person, we're still trying to get justice for Kendrick Johnson. It's been 13 years and the whole Lowndes County wasn't involved in an alleged cover-up. So miss me with that bullshit. So y'all, I told the Lord I wasn't gonna cuss tonight, but I had to say that one word. But anyway, let's get some black attorneys on the screen. I want to hear this from a Black attorney's perspective. Is that all right? Now, our audience is going to drop, which is great because a lot of them are just trolls anyway. So maybe this will make them scatter out. But I want to see what these Black attorneys have to say in regards to the Nolan Wells case. We are getting ready to watch a clip by Black lawyers react, and they are reacting to the Nolan Wells case. And shout out to them. And this is under the Fair Use Act. Educational purposes. Let's go.
Breakfast.
We've heard everybody's perspective. I want to hear theirs.
Okay, we are live. We are live. Everybody, this is Attorney Justin Camper. We are back with the Stay Legal Podcast. I have distinguished, highly sought after, one of the greatest attorneys on the planet. We got attorney Jacoby Whitley, all the way from the DC, Virginia area, doing what he do, doing always what he do. You want to say what's up to the people, Attorney Whitley?
Good morning, people. This is Attorney Jacoby Whitley. Yes, I am in Washington, D.C. I practice in Washington, D.C. in the great state of Maryland. And I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
Awesome. But last but certainly not least, we got the great one, the Attorney Shannon Buhari. Say what's up to the people, Attorney Buhari.
Look, first of all, Justin, man, you don't owe me anything, bro. So you ain't got no outstanding invoices or anything. Pleasure to be here. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So we are live. We had a little technical difficulties, but we are live. We're getting started. We're going to dive deep into this topic and give our perspectives. We on Facebook. We on LinkedIn, we on YouTube. So I'm really happy to see that we can get the information out to the people. If it's your first time listening, we're Stay Legal Podcast with all attorneys, all on our own law firm. And we just like to talk about different relevant topics that's going on in the news, give our perspective. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. We try to remain respectful. Sometimes we got to fight after the pod, but we typically make up. If I know we're gonna have some people tuning in. If we got questions, comments, it's a live interactive show for people. We'll try to answer questions live. Our billable hours are not cheap, so to be able to get some answers for free here live. It's a very expensive pod. It's a very expensive podcast. But I do want to tell everybody what we're going to talk about today. A very relevant topic that's constantly in the news. And I wanted to, get just wanted to talk about our perspective, and then we'll get out of here. But we're gonna give our different perspectives, break down some of the legal things that are occurring, and just give our perspective on why certain things are the way they are. So we want to discuss the tragic and highly publicized death of Nolan Wells. Before we begin, we definitely want to extend our deepest condolences to the Nolan family and friends, everyone affected by this heartbreaking loss. It's just a very, very tragic situation, no matter how you want to splice it. There's been tremendous amount of discussion on social media, countless theories, a lot of unanswered questions. And our purpose today is not to here to spread rumors or give blame or to convict anyone without the court yet giving out any convictions. We're just here to do our job as attorneys, what we do every single day, which is give our legal analysis, try to figure out, what the facts are, what's being speculated, explain the legal process, discuss what investigators and prosecutors may be looking at in this case. So throughout today's discussion, we'll like I said, we'll talk about the ongoing investigation. Just like every good analysis, when new facts come out, things change, right? So when more facts come out, our analysis may change. So this is based off what we know right now. This is going to be our analysis of, what we think is, what we think, right? Based off what we know, based off the information that we have at the table. So yeah, if you have questions that you want to ask, I know we got some people watching live. We have questions you want to ask us about
The private investigators and their presentations on TikTok are very interesting to watch. However, I think having some attorneys discuss some of the points, narrating my condolences to the family and the loved ones of Nolan.
I was trying to get to a good point. He was rambling.
I joined up for the pod today, just to help provide a legal analysis in the community, because there's a lot of opinions, right? And the investigations or the private investigators and their presentations on TikTok are very interesting to watch. However, I think having some attorneys discuss some of the points will help the public understand where we are. And one of the things that you mentioned is the legal process, right? And the timing and the steps that are involved in the legal process. And hopefully give some more insight and background into why some things remain unsaid. And although some things have been unsaid or maybe have not been revealed yet, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no investigation going on, right? And the investigation is just falling apart and we won't ever know what happened, right? So part of why I wanted to come on today is to dispel that and to just add some more substance to the conversations that's floating around.
Absolutely. Okay. A wonderful opening statement. Attorney Brari, you want to give an opening statement or you want to wait?
I think you two have summed it up rather nicely. So I'm not going to rehash or beat a dead horse. But I think, I think there are questions, probably more questions than answers at this particular time. But I think that is also par for the course, if you will.
Awesome. So just so everybody's aware of what we're talking about, I think it's helpful. I know most of us know, most of the public knows what's going on with Nolan Wells, but just for those who may be tuning in, don't necessarily know what's going on. I did want to just give a brief summary, and I know we got some people tuning in. So those who are tuning in, give us your questions, your comments. You want us to shout you out, put your name in.
Okay. All right. I'm going to switch videos because we've been watching for about 8 minutes and 44 seconds. You got to get right in there. You'll lose your audience if you don't go straight, in there. But do you guys want to move to a different clip or you want to continue to try to see? Maybe I can skip through it a little bit. You guys want me to skip through it to see if we can get to a part that has some substance to it? I really wanted, I don't know, I just wanted to hear their perspective as Black men. I'm gonna keep trying. Let's keep trying.
He remained on the island. His group left him on that island. He never came home. He ended up being reported missing. And then on July 5th, they began an investigation on trying to find Nolan. And on July 6th, they discovered his body. They pulled it from the water at Horn Island. His family confirmed his identity. The case is receiving national attention. Nationally known civil rights attorney Ben Crump, has been obtained by the family to do an independent autopsy. And right now, that independent autopsy says that the cause and manner of death is quote and unquote undetermined, pending further investigation. Meanwhile, the state autopsy has been completed, but their findings have not been published.
Yeah, I can. Hold on a second.
And so there's just 3 active questions that remain that people want to know. And I guess just to nail it down even further, Nolan was a black boy, and
let me know if this is okay.
He was around a lot of white boys, and so a lot of people are concerned that hey, we're in Mississippi, you got a bunch of white boys hanging out with a black boy, and the only person that's missing is a black boy. They feel it could be a racial thing. So that's one of the things that's reasons why it just get a lot of attention. So the 3 questions that are still remaining today that people want to know is like, what really caused Nolan Wells' death? Was it accidental drowning, or was it really foul play? And what happened based off the time he was last seen when he disappeared? And do you think the evidence supports criminal charges, or was this a tragic accident? So these are the questions that the investigators are working on. Everybody wants to know, and everybody has some concerns about the legal process and what's happening here. I do see that we got a comment here. Let's see. Let's go ahead. I want to shout him out. Pilot J, good morning. I appreciate the good morning, Pilot J. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for listening in. We appreciate you. Anybody else want to comment? Feel free to comment. We definitely interactive podcast here. So, all right, let's go ahead and start. I'll go ahead to you first, Attorney Whitley. Oftentimes, go ahead.
No. I'm a fool if I don't wait for the question, my man.
Oh man, he's funny. No, so yeah. I mean, I'll let you flow. I'll let you flow. I don't want to stop the flow, man. You don't stop. No,
I didn't start the flow, bro. You know what I mean? So yeah, what's your question? But if you just want me to jump in and say something, I can.
Go ahead, jump in. What would you want to say?
So what I would say is, we don't know. This is still, a lot of things are inconclusive. And like I said at the beginning, right? Something that I wanted to draw a line to are people, and this is probably tied into the defamation suits later. People are doing their own investigations and conclusively coming up with their own determinations, right? And I just believe it's too early to do that. And I think it's a misstep to do that, right? Because how that breaks down to the law, right? Even if you wanted to start looking at this as a potential murder investigation, right? As you know, as a battle-tested criminal attorney, right? There's a difference between murder and manslaughter, right? And that difference is normally around whether the person intended to kill the person, right? Whether it was an accident or not, right? And we don't know if this was related to a boating accident, an altercation. We don't have any of those facts, right? So I think it's very, 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 very difficult to determine right now if this is a criminal matter, even though that is the assumption of the public, right? That this is a criminal matter. And the reason why I think okay, I'll check in with Mo Business in 1 second. But I think that reason that assumption is being made is the race factor, right? And because this was a Black young man, he was one of a few Black people at that party, at that venue, and he's the one that didn't come back. So based on trauma and history in America, there's an assumption that because race was at play, that foul play is involved, right? But however, I still think it's inconclusive. I guess to Mo's business. Mo Business made a comment. Okay, you have not prepared. I don't know what you're talking about, Mo. So if you could fill that in with a little color and some more details, I will be happy to elucidate you. But that's what I'm kind of saying, right? Mo's never met me, right? And Mo has made a conclusion that I haven't prepared because I'm not jumping off the ledge here and just saying, oh, a crime is being committed. right? And that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? And that's something that I want to address, is that we have to take our time, because even if there was a crime that was committed, we don't know what that crime is. We don't know exactly who is involved, and you have to give space for that investigation to pin down some of these details and add color to these areas.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Hey, what was your reaction? Like, when you saw it, I'll give my reaction. Now I want you to give your reaction. I'm gonna be this is personal opinion. I definitely was suspicious. Like my ears perked up. Wait a minute. Hey, one black kid gone. Other white kids were gone. I mean, we're still there and they're alive and they're fine. So that definitely perked my ears up. But if there's protests, there's been so many things where people are conclusively basically saying, hey, this is probably a racial thing. And so I couldn't come to that. I've done research. I've watched videos. I've listened to what his friends had to say. I've listened to, what different people had to say. And I still couldn't say, from a personal opinion, it's just not enough facts out there to show this is truly a racial thing. But what was your human reaction when you saw this?
So my first knee-jerk reaction, because just fun fact, right? So during my military stint, I was stationed at Keesler Air Force Base, which is in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Okay.
Right. So I was in this community, right? Not this particular community, but in that area, right? So yes, it was a little this is America vibe. Right? Kind of, here we go again. Yes. Was I sensitive to some of the racial tones? Absolutely. The thing that really got me interested, though, were when people started putting together factual inconsistencies. Right? Now, when that started to heighten my sensitivities and my alertness, because now I am interested in how all the facts come out, how things are played, because people are highlighting some inconsistencies, right? So what those inconsistencies lead to in the future, I'm very interested in, and that has drawn me in more. But my first knee-jerk reaction was, this is America.
This is America, meaning that black people go missing?
Yeah.
Well, I like Shannon's answer. Shannon's answer because that's a fact.
What was your human reaction?
Full disclaimer, I'm on the civil side. I don't do criminal defense. I know enough to be dangerous. But I think, as an attorney, we do have to filter facts from feelings. But I think it's also hard to hear something like this and I think kind of going to what Jacoby was saying, if this was an incident that happened, let's say in Boston, Massachusetts, California, Denver, Colorado, I don't know if folk would have jumped on the racism bandwagon as quickly, right? Okay. But the fact that we were in the Deep South and we know the history of lynchings and killings of black folk in Mississippi, I think that raises cause for concern. For me, and again, we're still piecemealing what happened together, but it's some of the stuff that happened, that the other individuals at play here, I'll say the lack thereof, for lack of a better term, also gives cause for concern, though, right? So it seems as if, if somebody I consider a good friend, regardless of race, fell off a boat, let's say couldn't swim and looked to be drowning, I don't know if I'd wait until I got back to shore to try to alert somebody or call the police, right? I think we'd be frantic at that time. But again, I think as an attorney, I do have to filter that feeling piece, those emotions, and look at the facts, right? I think Judge Mathis basically said it best. I think there's reasonable suspicion surrounding his death. Yes, I do. However, I can't jump on the he was killed bandwagon. And I think, Cole, to your point, there are certain elements of crimes that need to be met. And if you're going to say it was murder, I think you have to prove, if murder one, I think you have to prove the intent. Could this have been a situation where a bunch of boys were just on a boat horse playing and went overboard? Right? That's not murder one. Like you said, Kobe, again, you're looking at some sort of manslaughter. But do I think the others on the boat know what happened to him? Absolutely. Right. So I think that's just kind of, again, it's always sad when you hear somebody that looks like you, could have been, I'm 40. So, Nolan Wells could have been my son. It's always a situation where, it is sad when you hear stuff like that. But then at the same time, being in the legal space, we can't just automatically jump on the, I'll call it non-legal bandwagon. We actually have a job to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that comment a lot. And I want to ask you, the public, I know we got some more people watching. Do you think this is a racist event, or do you think this was a murder? Do you think it has nothing to do with none of that? It's just another crime, another day? So definitely let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I do think it's important to highlight some of the particular facts in this case. So, for one, based off what I've, listened to, research, Horn Island was a place where there was like hundreds of teenagers that they would go there, party, do whatever on July 4th. It was just like a place where it was a lot of people. So it wasn't like, I think the initial reaction that people were saying was like, oh, it just seemed like a group of boys, like 4 or 5 boys went to this island, and then only one black boy, only the black boy is the one that's missing, right? So it was like a party that traditionally was just done at this island. Another fact that I think is helpful, that helped me, is that the state of Mississippi, they've been doing an investigation. They've interviewed over 60 different witnesses. They've done an investigation. However, in the state of Mississippi, they can't charge somebody without a grand jury. So here in Indiana, it's different. I'm not sure how it is down there in DC, Virginia, but Indiana, they just need a police report, a probable cause affidavit. They don't even need a police report, really. They just need a probable cause affidavit, the charging information, presented to a judge. A judge signs off and says, yes, I think there's probable cause for a crime. And then boom, you can get charged with a crime. But in the state of Mississippi, unless there's some sort of exception, for the most part, the state gathers all this evidence, presents it to a grand jury of people, and say, hey, do you think this person is probable cause to charge these person? It looks like they're probably going, and they might be charging multiple people. Now, I listened to the district attorney's, speech about it, and she talked about how, they are going to, they are investigating. They're going to follow the process of a grand jury. So I want to know what you guys' thoughts on that, like Mississippi's process of a grand jury, how this is delaying things, right? Because the public is like, they're ready to go. We want to know answers ASAP, right? And I understand this is the process, though. They have a grand jury, and the grand jury, they're not supposed to release any evidence because the person hasn't been charged yet. So, how do you guys feel about that process?
I agree. Hold on, before they answer, I'm going to give my input on this. I agree with this comment. Grand jury is where justice dies. And here's why. They're passing a buck. They're passing a buck to a group of people that they handpick, all to try to avoid an uprising when we don't get what we know is true. They cover it up. It's mind-boggling to me that every case goes to a grand jury to decide. Even if you got pow in your head, it's going to a grand jury to decide if it was murder? No. That is giving them time to get their story together, giving them the opportunity to present what they want to present and what they don't want to present. It's diabolical to me that this state does that, concealing things, hiding behind closed doors of a grand jury instead of calling the crime what it is. So that is my take on Mississippi's bullcrap law. Let's keep going. And then I got one more video we're going to play before, and it's a little lighter than this. It was kind of funny, but we'll look at it. But we'll look.
So grand juries are a thing. Well, have been in the news in DC, right? So you can be charged without a grand jury, but to be indicted, you need a grand jury.
Right.
Okay. And so with the federal occupation in DC, right? So there were federal grand juries that were not convicting the charges that were being presented by some of the federal agencies, right? The people of DC, right? They pull and panel the jury from regular folks, right? And these regular folks didn't like the policies that were going on with the federal government. So they decided not to indict several people that were presented on grand juries, right? So I bring that up to bring the point. A lot of people in DC are very sophisticated when it comes to the law, right? Just because it's DC, right? So as a group, they understood the power of the grand jury, and they understood the grand jury's role. So if the grand jury failed to indict, they understood the ramifications that would have for the defendant. Essentially, the defendant would be released, right? And they disagreed with the charges that were presented, and so they didn't indict, right? And that's the power of the grand jury. Now, going back to Mississippi and this whole "this is America" thing, right? Okay. So I think researching, I think people have a good point, and unfortunately I didn't talk to you before the podcast. I didn't have a chance to research the history of this. I think that is a very unique quirk in the law, right? Because what that enables Mississippi to do, if you can't even be charged unless the grand jury allows it, then a group of like-minded people in the community can say, even though I see the evidence, right, I'm not going to charge the person. Right? And we can argue, and we can do a historical analysis and argue on who historically has benefited from that. Have there been any notable cases where it looked like the evidence was very clear, but for some reason, political, racial, whatever, grand juries in Mississippi have basically let that person go? I think that's a very key piece of analysis. And I also want to bring up, and also it's just good to so people know that the judicial system works when you're involved with it, right? Sit on these grand juries. Don't just throw away or try to get out of serving your jury duty when you're called, right? If you're called for jury duty, don't tell the judge that you just completely biased and you can't be unbiased, so you just get struck from the jury and get to go back home, right? Take the civil sacrifice and do your role as a juror. It's so important, right? So I think this highlights that, right? But looking at the history in Mississippi, and if that is true, that you can't even be charged without a decision from the grand jury, that is something pivotal to look at and to see in Mississippi's history how that has been used. Because looking in that history, it might help us predict and see how it could be used in this case.
Right.
And one more point. I'm gonna use this to highlight this. So if that grand jury system is found out to be in Mississippi, used and is manipulated or biased based along racial lines, I think this is a good point to highlight that to me is the definition of racism, right?
Okay.
Someone calling you the N-word, someone calling you the N-word in the middle of the street might be prejudiced, might be bigoted, right? But I think when we talk about racism is when the leverage of justice are manipulated and guided by race, right? And you have mechanisms that you can employ or withhold that has an effect on people, and you can use it along a racial line, right? It's making that prejudice and inserting it into an institution, right? And that having an effect on the people in mass, right? So I would just like to highlight that because I also think this is a good point to talk about that. So I will yield my time to my other panelists.
Okay, Attorney Ferrari, I'll let you chime in. What's your thoughts on the grand jury system of Mississippi, how he takes those long and foul charges? I mean, we can't blame the DA, right? I mean, the DA is doing what the DA normally does, but it does highlight an inefficiency, a potential inefficiency in the system of Mississippi. Like I said, here in Indiana, that wouldn't happen, right? You get charged, okay? You might get charged that night, you know what I'm saying? So, but down there in Mississippi, they have to wait, right? So how do you feel about the system?
So, again, I'm on the civil side of things, and I really don't practice criminal defense. But I think that whole grand jury concept and our idea is a bit archaic. Right? I mean, I think it's one of those old, adopted from the English. We're still working under that, let's call it regime, when it comes to trying to file charges, bring charges. And really, the onus at this particular junction is on the prosecutor, right? I think the onus is on the prosecutor to present enough. If there's enough to present, the onus is then on the prosecutor. So it's almost as if the prosecutor has to try the case twice, right? They'd have to present enough evidence to the grand jury to get an indictment. If there is an indictment, now I have to present enough evidence before a judge, jury, things of that nature. And at that point, it's again like the prosecutor has to try the case twice. And again, the other issue I have with the grand jury is, and I think Kobe alluded to it in general, is the fact or the idea that everything could be there, right? Let's say it could be inconclusive evidence, for lack of a better term. They could still say we don't see need to move forward on the indictment, and then therefore everything just kind of falls apart. So I think again that's just an extra step. I think prosecutors have enough, right? Because I think there's a beyond reasonable doubt they have enough when it comes time to trying cases. I think you should be able to issue, like you said, Justin, your probable cause warrant, maybe a probable cause affidavit, get the warrant, the rest, put the evidence together, and just let a jury decide whether or not this issue. Just let a jury decide that the facts here. That's I mean, again, comes from somebody who doesn't practice in the criminal world. So I think that's the way it could be done. But again, I think just that extra step, it puts extra onus, I think, on prosecutors.
I agree 1000%. And family, we're going to table this video because I wanted to show you a different. Okay, I got just two more. Stick with me for this, two more. Okay, Truth Gang. That I want to show you. I think I'm going to show you this young lady's video first because she's really good at what she does. She breaks it down really well. And they are taking down her videos because this lady done pretty much solved this case. Let's take a listen to her real quick. And then one more, and then we'll end for tonight because I know we got to go to work. I know I do.
This is now my third time making this video because they keep taking it down because they don't want you to see what I have found. Katie has dry snitched, y'all. Here we see Katie's Snapchat where she's wearing a teal swimsuit and she's with a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit. On this video,
pay attention though. Before I hit play again, I want you to remind you that Katie is the one that said that Nolan told her that he was getting back on the boat with his friends and leaving, and she went her separate way. Keep that in mind. Katie never said she was on the boat. All right.
Of the 3 boats, you're going to see a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit right here on Bart's boat. And right next to her with the same long wet hair is a girl in a teal swimsuit on Bart's boat. Make sure you have your brightness turned all the way up because here we have Katie in a teal swimsuit and look at her head. She is wearing a white hat. Oh, look, the video of the boat getting towed. Teal swimsuit, white hat. And that's not all, folks. Again, turn your brightness all the way up because right here, we've got somebody wearing red trunks. Oh, and look what we have here. Red trunks. And here's those same red trunks on the shore right after the fight with Tristan. Katie is claiming that she allegedly caught a ride home with somebody named Marty McGrath. It just so happens that a Marty McGrath is the co-owner of the Biloxi Bay RV Resort and Marina in St. Martin. Here it is, and my, that is a massive dock way out in the water. And would you look at that? It's right next to the grandparents' house. Now, in that report with the GPS coordinates, didn't they say that they went southwest towards St. Martin Bayou? Yeah, that's right, it did. And it also took them 45 minutes to get to that boat ramp over there. That only takes about 6 minutes on land. Like I said, they are trying to take down my page. Make sure you are following my backup here. But Katie, I want to say one thing to you. You're young, and I know you don't realize this yet, but these are not your friends. Be a hero. Do what's right.
What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Katie said that Nolan, they separated. She went her own way. Nolan was getting ready to leave with his boys. She never said she was on Bart's boat during the call, the CETO call. So allegedly, Katie is not as clean as she wants the world to believe. So I agree with this young lady. Katie, those are not your friends. If you cared about Nolan, which it doesn't look like you do to me, allegedly, it's my opinion. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Were you one of the girls on the boat as we see during the CETO call? Do you know exactly what happened to Nolan during the CETO call, right before the call? Allegedly. One more video, guys, and we'll end for tonight. You guys got any questions in regard? You guys want to watch that again? I think it's important that we may want to watch that just one more time before we move to the final clip of the night in the final conversation. Because Katie had got us effed up. She got us effed up. Let's just watch it one more time, guys. Pay attention. Katie was on the boat. Remember the girls' voices in the background? We were trying to figure out, well, who are the girls? Allegedly, Katie and her friend with the striped swimsuit, a suit, or maybe it was just one. I don't know. All right.
This is now my 3rd time making this video because they keep taking it down because they don't want you to see what I have found. Katie has dry snitched, y'all. Here we see Katie's Snapchat where she's wearing a teal swimsuit and she's with a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit. On this video of the 3 boats, you're gonna see a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit right here on Bart's boat. And right next to her with the same long wet hair is a girl in a teal swimsuit on Bart's boat. Make sure you have your brightness turned all the way up because here we have Katie in a teal swimsuit and look at her head. She is wearing a white hat. Oh, look, the video of the boat getting towed. Teal swimsuit, white hat. And that's not all, folks. Again, turn your brightness all the way up because right here, we've got somebody wearing red trunks. Oh, and look what we have here. Red trunks. And here's those same red trunks on the shore right after the fight with Tristan. Katie is claiming that she allegedly caught a ride home with somebody named Marty McGrath. It just so happens that a Marty McGrath is the co-owner of the Biloxi Bay RV Resort and Marina in St. Martin. Here it is, and my, that is a massive dock way out in the water. And would you look at that? It's right next to the grandparents' house. Now, in that report with the GPS coordinates, didn't they say that they went southwest towards St. Martin Bayou? Yeah, that's right, it did. And it also took them 45 minutes to get to that boat ramp over there. That only takes about 6 minutes on land. Like I said, they are trying to take down my page. Make sure you are following my backup here. But Katie, I want to say one thing to you. You're young, and I know you don't realize this yet, but these are not your friends. Be a hero. Do what's right.
There you go. You remember there was that discrepancy when Katie first came out? It was one story where someone said that her sister and brother-in-law came and got her, and then the other story was that she left with her parents. So in my opinion, and it is my opinion, everybody's lying. Everybody, every single last one of them are not telling the truth when it comes down to 18-year-old Nolan Wells. And we're not going to stop until we get the truth out of them. Period, point blank. All right. So on a lighter note, Don Lennon had a guest on his show, and I want to end the night. In the clip night portion of the night. I don't know if anybody wants to come up. If you don't, we'll end. And we have the comedian. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's pretty funny. So let's just watch this to kind of lighten up our day. And the guest that he had on that they're getting ready to react to, listen to his mindset. I don't even think that this guy even understands what racism is. And he is a black man from Mississippi, and he claims he's a friend of the Wansleys. So let's take a look.
Hold on 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so Godfrey, sorry, I was texting someone. It's a very important text. It's a very important text. Okay, so Godfrey, someone in the comment section. Wait, let me get back to Godfrey. Where is Godfrey? Where Godfrey at? Okay, here it is. So Godfrey, someone said this about you going to the gym. Now, they're saying you all lotioned up, you're not ashy.
I'm not ashy, but I ain't lotioned up. I don't get greasy before I go work out.
Go to the gym. Now, are you one of those people? Do you shower? I'm a shower before I go to the gym because I won't stink in front of nobody.
Well, I shower before. Yeah, I'm always like clean, before I go to the gym. I don't stink and stuff like that. But I don't usually take stuff like that. But I don't usually take showers at the gym really because I come right back home. You know what I'm saying?
No. I shower before I go to the gym, get in the car or walk to the gym. And then, because sometimes people be.
There's a lot of weirdos, especially old white dudes like to dry they nutsack with the dryer nasty. And white dudes are always naked the longest. They just be, hey, how you doing, Bob? Yeah. I'm like, could you put your balls away?
Wait.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, man, I'd be like this, and all the black dudes, we be wrapped up like mummies, just trying to put our clothes on.
3,000,
right? We have 8 towels. We hopping with 18 towels. We look like a mummy. You know how women would take off their bra without taking off their shirt? That's how we putting our underwear on. We like, shit, let me see. And the white dude just be like butt ass naked, no towel, just walking around. Hey man, how was your workout? I don't know. You're
Don Lemon, aren't you?
Right, like, hey, yeah, it's hard to talk with your ball sack out, buddy. Could you get your scrotum away from me? Thanks. And you're using the hair dryer. That's what we want to use, but it's on your scrotum. That's a little nasty.
Luckily, I don't need this. I don't need the hair dryer.
Yo,
oh my God.
It's so crazy. They just stay around. They're naked for so long. I go, yo, my man, do me this favor real quick. Get the towel, wrap yourself around, because I'm not about that. We need to have some etiquette. It's nasty, man. I'm like, ugh.
Okay, so this morning, Godfrey, you have been reporting on this Nolan Wells thing. And I have been reporting on this Nolan Wells thing.
But you really report on it because you're about that journalistic thing,
So can we talk about an interview that I did this morning? And I'm not making fun of this guy. Maybe you want to, I don't know. But it was one of the craziest interviews. And I hate to say when people are in the sunken place, but I felt like I don't want to put words in your mouth. Andy, you choose the one you want to roll for Godfrey, and then we'll go with it.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
I know that. I'm from the South. I've been saying that people in the South, black people and white people integrate more than they do in the North. But that's mostly about socioeconomics. Doesn't mean that racism is solved. It's because basically those people who live together are the same part of the socioeconomic group. So if you are mostly middle-class people and you have grown up there, you are going to pretty much be together in the same places. But here in the North, it is about rich people who are all together. Most of them mainly are white because that's sort of, generational wealth. Most black people didn't have the opportunity to do that. But here in the North, it is more polarized than it is in the South. The South, I think, used to be segregated, but people are more polarized here in the North than they are in the South.
Now, I know you can speak on that better than most because you're from the South and you've been living all over. You've been living in the North. So I can understand.
Not only am I from the South and living in the North, my family just left here and we had a long discussion about this and a long discussion about people who believe that racism is over or just because people are what they're called, there's race mixing. That's what the racists used to call it back. But people who are marrying interracial marriage, they think that racism is over because of that. And it's not. But it doesn't mean that it is as bad as back in Emmett Till. We made progress.
Racist people is going to always be with us. There's nothing you can do about that. That's why Jesus Christ suffered, bled, and died for that very same thing. Is because racist people going to walk amongst you. But who really cares about the quiet racist? He's a racist and he's quiet and he don't say nothing about it. He over there. If he not.
Did you just hear what he said? Who really cares about the quiet racists? The quiet racists are the most dangerous racists. Oh my God, it gets worse. I couldn't. Just look at Godfrey's face.
Bothering you, he can be racist over there. As long as he don't come and shove it down my throat, I don't care what he is over there, right? He's not affecting me. If he ain't affecting me,
you don't know that.
But
you don't know what that quiet racist is doing. You don't know who he's influencing. You don't know what kids and grandkids he's influencing. You don't know that.
But what I'm saying is,
you don't know who he's supporting. Maybe he's sending money to the Klan. You don't know.
But when I'm speaking of quiet, I'm talking about the ones who just keeping it to himself. You know what I'm saying? If he's quiet with it, I agree with what you're saying right there. I agree with that.
Emmanuel.
If he's helping people be racist, that's a problem. And when I'm speaking,
but how do you know that if he's quiet about it? Quiet is kept. You know what quiet is kept is, right?
How about quiet on the creek? Quiet on the creek.
I mean, bro, if you got a health problem and it don't show, it don't show up on this blood result, then good deal.
Then eventually one day it's gonna kill you.
Nina, I'm gonna make him mean, Mary.
Even if it doesn't show up, even if you don't know about it, it's still gonna kill you.
He reminds me of them Hebrew Israelites. When they got the beards, they be like, but listen, brother, you got to understand that the quietness of the racism is just like bad health. And that's psychological because the Hittites and the Mennonites came from Mount Sinai. And that is the reason why the black man is the way he is. And the white man comes from the Caucasus Mountains. And that same psychology goes within their violence. That's why there's nothing wrong with a quiet racist, my brother.
The physical
anytime they got a beard,
autonomy of the equivocation
of the psychological prostration. See, brother, that's the problem with you brothers, man. See, I got a beard of knowledge. You see my beard? That's knowledge, my brother. And then the way I hold my hands means that I am more educated than you. And I'm trying to tell you, we came from China, not from Africa, brother.
I cannot.
Right now, it says that the tribe of Judah will come and conquer the black man. Stop right there. Stop right there. As you can see right now, what I said was that a silent racist comes from the ancient Egyptians, brother, from the hieroglyphics. You got to understand. Read. It says that the hieroglyphics is the reason why the white man is quiet and silent. Stop right there.
And silence is golden. And remember the golden rule.
You got to understand, silence was invented in Africa. Silence was invented in Africa. Noise came from the white man. Silence was invented in Africa. There was a brother named Silencio. That's where silence comes from the Caucasus Mountains, brother.
Wait, do the face.
My brother. Read. Yo, man, you got to start using your knowledge, Don Lemon. I love what you're doing, brother. You got to start using your knowledge. I know you're from Louisiana, but that's where the slave mentality comes from, with the Creole shit, brother.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Andy, do you have the one about who dads want their daughters and what's racist and what's not? I'm going to see if you can make heads or tails of this.
Oh, shit.
I don't even know where to start when you're talking about someone who doesn't want. Yeah, that's bias. That's prejudice. If someone doesn't want, because it shouldn't be about race. You should be about you. If you're a father, you should be about who your daughter loves, whether you're a black man, a white man, or whoever. And so to say that if I don't want my daughter to marry a white man and I'm a black man, yeah, that's bias. That's racial bias.
So you can't have a preference for what cake or what car you prefer? Does that mean that you're prejudiced against?
Well, you can't compare cars. You can't.
Wait, he just compared a preference to racism. A preference to racism. Guys, all right. Let's keep going. But I just need you to listen to his mindset. He's from Mississippi. He's been there all his life. He's blinded. So what he has done is he has accepted watered down racism. Instead of abolishing, which never happened, he's accepted watered down version. Y'all pay attention. I know it's funny because Godfrey makes it funny, but it's really sad. It's even more sad to hear him. So let's keep going.
Can't compare cars to people. That's not the same thing.
Well,
come on.
Yo.
We not. So you saying people
You're
not
not
allowed to
helping
have
yourself.
a preference? That
preference
don't
for what?
mean a
You're
preference
allowed to
for
have
their
a preference,
choice.
but if the preference is based on race, that's problematic.
No, it
because
may
we're
not.
all humans. If you like people,
But what if-
some people like dark-haired people, some people like light-haired people. But if you discount an entire race, that's racism.
No. If a man says, I want somebody that looks like me or resemble me to marry my daughter, that does not mean that person
That's
is
not your decision.
racist.
That's not your decision.
Yeah, we know it's not his decision. But
that's
he
not
didn't
the
say
dad's
that.
decision.
I didn't say anything that person would not accept another race come marry
Oh
his
my
daughter. I'm
God.
just saying it does not mean that a person
Emmanuel,
is racist if he wants.
Are you in the
if a
sunken
black man
place?
wants his daughter to marry another black man, that does not make him a racist. And the same with a white guy. If a white
That's
guy
the thing.
wants his daughter to marry a white guy,
Look, I'm going to move
that's not
on.
racist.
Let me just say this. I'm going to move on because I want to talk about you.
Okay.
It's exactly what I said to you in the beginning of this. You're too close to it to even understand what it is. First of all, it's not that dad's decision about who his daughter marries. That's the point. That is actually misogyny, right? The fact that you think that you can control or you should control who your daughter marries, and the fact that you don't understand that.
Control it. I didn't say he can control it. She
But-
can pick.
oh, God.
Here's where the racism come in. If his daughter brings home a certain person of another race, and then he says, "I don't want him in here," after that's what she chose, yeah, that's racist. I agree with you there.
No. That's not. That's racism. That's aggression. But him preferring someone of another preferring someone of his race, that is racism. I am preferring someone of my own race. That is the definition of racism. Now, if he gets aggressive with the other guy, that's aggression and violence. But to say, if you look up the definition of racism, it is preferring, in that definition, someone of your own race.
So when are you allowed to have a preference? When are you allowed to have a preference?
I gotta go. You can have a preference. Everybody has a preference, but that's not racism.
But racism is totally different than a preference. If he prefers,
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Like even
I'm not going to go on with this. I'm gonna send you someone who can talk to you better about this, and it's Eddie Glott. I'm gonna give you your number.
I actually like the guy. I actually like him.
Right?
I like that he says the wrong shit but goes, yeah. But see, you picking somebody from another race is like ordering cake. If I like chocolate cake, I'm racist against the vanilla cake. See, that's the thing you said. We're not going to compare cars and cakes. Now, if I want a Rolls Royce and I don't want a Benz. I'm racist against the Benz. See, that's the same thing. Like I said before, the Hittites and the Mennonites coming from Mount Sinai wanted cake. In Ecclesiastics verses 5-7, it says, "You shall eat chocolate cake within thy soul, but do not hate the white cake." Read. Well, listen, I see what he was. Listen, like when black people say, "I would rather you marry somebody black or be with somebody black," it's not coming from a racist standpoint. It's coming from a pride standpoint because of black people being so put down, and just having pride in your own people. When white folks usually say, "I don't want you marrying a black person," it's because they just are being racist. They hate black people. They'll say, "Oh, you're ruining the bloodline," shit. Like they're coming from a different angle. Black folks do not. We can be bigoted, prejudiced, and bigoted, yes. But as far as racism, that's a power thing, you know.
That comes from power.
It comes from power.
Like if systems of power,
right? If a black person says, "Hey, man, I hope you marry a black man," or "I hope you marry a black woman," it's just from black women being the least desired, the most over-sexualized. It's what propaganda has made black women. So or black men, you know, always villainizing us. I think it comes from a place of pride and actually being proud of who you are, because we've been so trained to think white folks are the greatest things in the world, or being closer to white is better. So it's not the same. It's not the same thing. But my man was explaining it. You explained it to him, and then he tried to re-explain it to you. You know what I mean? It was really. But I actually liked the guy. He didn't get mad at you. I think he knew he was wrong.
Oh, he loved it. But he was like, "No, listen, Don, listen."
Yeah, he goes, "Don, listen, man. Listen, man. Okay, forget the cake. Let's stick with cookies. Let's stick with cookies, brother. Let's stick with cookies. Chocolate chip cookies or pecan." But you know, that's what I mean when someone says, "Hey," when it comes to black folks, we obviously are not racist towards people. We just, black people, whether it's African, Caribbean, we've been beaten down by white supremacy so badly. When we just ask for our own people, it's coming from a pride thing. It's not coming from, we hate white people. No. But when it's them, it's usually, I don't want black people because I just don't like black.
So basically what he's saying is, we don't hate white people, we just love our people. In a nutshell. So when a black parent says, "Oh, I wish you would just date a black, person," it's not coming from a space of hate, is what he's saying. And I agree. It's more or less saying, white people we love white people. I do. I know there's some good white people out there. I don't dislike white people. I hate racists. But what they're saying is, we love our people too. Just like white lives, we already know matter, but black lives matter. Does that make sense? We matter too. All right, guys, I ain't gonna interrupt no more. I promise. We're going to get to the end of this. We're going to end the live for tonight and meet tomorrow.
Black people, and they have a history of it. We have proof. That's all.
Yeah, but also, look, Mark Lamont Hill used to tell me this all the time when he was on CNN.
Yeah.
And he's like, not everything is black and white, so to speak, right? Like the reactions to white people it's not. You can't compare that to the reactions to black people all the time. It's not an apples and oranges situation, especially considering the history of this nation.
Yes.
But people don't like, but he did. Do we have one of those things, Andy? I'm not sure if he got the one where he said, we need to stop talking about racism. Like, when are we going to, because if we don't, he sounds like one of those politicians that say, if you just stop talking, I guess it's like MAGA. If you just stop talking about racism,
can we all just get along?
Can we all just get along? I have not heard that mentality since I left Louisiana, anything like that since I left in the early 90s.
Just stop talking. That's like saying, just stop talking about roaches and your house is all dirty. Come on, stop. You got to kill the problem. You got to clean up your house. You got to clean racism, and you got to clean up your mentality. for that shit to go away. You can't just stop talking about it and then still have it in your head. It's just like sexism. You can't go stop talking about sexism and still be disgusting towards women, treating them like second-class citizens. You got to change your mentality and treat people accordingly for it to go away. But, you know, I think, you know what? I just saw a video on Donald Trump's niece who just broke down racism, white racism. She's awesome. Have you heard about her? Mary Trump?
Mary Trump. Yeah.
Ooh, she broke it down. She goes, white people have the privilege of forgetting of what happened. That's their problem. They always have the luxury of forgetting of what they've done to Native American people, Black people. You know, the system is geared for them to not actually have to think about it. That's why they get so riled up when you bring up the history. They don't want to learn about it. And you have to learn about it to better yourself. Hey, it's like going to a doctor's office. Whenever you go to a doctor's office, what's the first thing they pull out? They pull out your medical history. You have to know your history, the history of your family, diseases, so they can actually assess how you are, what they can do with you as far as treatment. No one goes into a doctor's office and they go, spread out your cheeks. Why? Don't worry about it. Let me just see what's going on in here. Oh, I'm the janitor anyway. I just want to warm you up for the doctor. You know what I'm saying? Everybody brings up, even when you watch.
That doesn't happen?
Even when you watch sports, Don, they always talk about the person's history. They always say this person was on this team, he got traded. They always talk about the history. That's why when you recruit athletes, you got to know where they went to school, where they played, how is their stats. It's the same thing with Black history. You should learn the history so you know how to behave going forward. But a lot of whites are very resistant to learning their history. They take everything personal. I go, dude, it happened. Why don't you just learn it so you can better yourself? But they think it's an indictment on them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I go, learn your history, the proper history, so that you can treat people with respect, so that you can better yourself and not be that person that, I don't know, whoever your family was. I don't know every white family. You feel what I'm saying? So, and there are whites that are working on it. They're online. Like you got Jolly Ginger who stands 10 toes on looking for justice. You got the Dixie white dude. You got a lot of white historians from Tim Wise to, you know, you got Jane Elliott in her 90s still doing her thing. So there are whites that are putting their asses on the line. And a lot of them stay silent because whites come at them, because they always say the worst thing than a nigger is a nigger lover. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why they get silent, because they're afraid, you know? Yeah, man.
Okay. Let's talk about Nolan's white friends.
Yeah.
I have an explanation for you about why, possibly. Because when the photographs came out initially, it was just Nolan with all white people. Right. And he's and so the world, this is not just Ben Crump. The family asked Ben Crump to come in. It's not like he volunteered to do this. OK, so, and not that I'm defending Ben Crump. I'm just sort of explaining to you why why people think race is involved or why it's involved. First of all, let's just be honest, Emmanuel. We know the history of the country. We do know the history of Mississippi. And one of the best indicators of what the present is and possibly the future is the history, right, of something, the history of your medical thing. You heard Al Sharpton say that at the funeral. When you go into the doctor and you say, this hurts or I have this ailment, and they go, what medication are you taking? What's your family's medical history? Okay, so you have that history in Mississippi. Not everybody lives in Mississippi. And so the people who are on the internet, the people who don't live in Mississippi, they see a black guy with all white guys and they go, oh, he's the only one that didn't come home. The history of Mississippi, blah, blah, blah. So people start putting two and two together, and that's why race is involved in this, because that is the history of America. Now, whether race played a role in his demise, no one knows it. No one knows that, but there is no denying that race plays a part in this case simply because of the optics. That's where the race part came in. That may be offensive to some people there, but the truth is often offensive. That is the reality in America. Yeah, yes, sir. You can ask me. We're here to have a conversation.
When Emmett Till was killed in 1955, I believe it was, he died for whistling and simply looking at a white woman. Now, we have went from there to making babies with these white women. When does that go out of the window far as, you know, this racial component of Mississippi history years ago. How can we accept that history when it comes to
you can accept it by acknowledging the problem. You accept it by acknowledging the problem and acknowledging the reality of the history of the country. You accept it by saying, I understand why people think race is involved. I understand why, right.
I understand why people do it, but what I'm saying is it a fair assessment for us to live here when we have
assessment.
We have nothing but a bunch of nothing but mixed kids running around down here.
But just because you have mixed kids, because you have mixed kids, it doesn't mean that you're not racist.
But Don,
it doesn't mean that.
This dude just said we got mixed kids running around the world around here, and nobody's dying. We're dying every day. Ridiculous. But let's keep going with the mindset, guys. We're almost done for tonight. A few more minutes.
Now. Back then, they died for looking at her. Now we're sleeping with them and having kids, and nobody's dying.
One thing. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Emmanuel. Do you know why Nolan died or how?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right.
So I'm for an investigation. That's why I said I'm for Al and them coming here and investigating. But Don, what I'm saying is, I don't think he should have led with this strong racial, the same people who killed Emmett Till. And I mean, that was almost 100 years ago, and we're now sleeping with white women, and white men are now sleeping with black women, creating babies with these people, man. I mean,
that doesn't mean that racism. I think that your idea of what racism isn't necessarily calling people the N-word or beating them up. It is a system that is based on superiority and history and present and sometimes people who are in relationships with people of a different ethnicity or a different background, they still have not dealt with racial issues. And sometimes, sometimes the love for people of a different ethnicity is a similar love, especially for blacks and whites, all right? Especially of a certain generation. It's the same sort of love that you have for a pet.
My God, here we go.
Where you are, I'm serious, where you love them, you protect them, you pay for everything, but it doesn't mean it's the same love that you have for a human being. It's kind of that, okay, I understand that. In America, the reason that we have this is because we don't deal in a fulsome way with race. We're not honest about it. And we think that racism is something where it is overt. It's not always overt. And there are people who came up through the civil rights movement and people who were discriminated against, they're still here. And the people who were part of the Klan, there's a huge Ku Klux Klan contingent in this country. There are people who are part of the Proud Boys who said that they're racist. There are people part of the new neo-Nazis. They say they are racist and they are open with it. So, and a lot of that comes from the South, from Louisiana, where I am, and from Mississippi. And if you go there, if you know, if I can drive 5 minutes from where you are and find a person who's involved in one of those groups and a person who's in that community. So don't tell me that racism is stamped out in Mississippi and where you are because people are sleeping together. First of all, people have urges, and people used to sleep with each other on plantations.
Yeah, which is true.
I'm just saying. The master used to sleep with the people on the plantation, women and men.
Right. I mean, I was out.
That's all about urge. That's a lot about urge, and you know, you need to get your freak on.
Oh man, that was a lot. Yo,
did you ever hear that story about the guy? It's on the internet. The guy who, God, I wish I could find it. The guy who said he was with his friend who is a white friend, and they were talking about race, and he said his mom came in who was of a certain age. If you guys have seen it on the internet.
She called the N-word? No.
He said something about the N-word. Oh, he said, I was growing up and I had a nigger nanny, and a nigger, and she never said her name. She was like, and I love my nigger nanny. I love whatever. And he said they were gonna whatever. And he said that's when he realized, like, for some people, the reason he knew the love was like a pet, because he never mentioned her name, and that person who was her N-word nanny was over in the corner just like a pet, You treated them, you know, just like you loved them, but it's not the same love that you
We
have
need
for a
to
human
stop.
being that
Black
you know.
people need to stop being white people's nannies. Let's stop it. Because stop. And you know, in Manhattan, we got a lot of Caribbean women that take care of white children. Enough of that shit. Enough of it. Because that's sometimes how they see it. Because I know a lot of my friends who were raised by black nannies, Caribbean nannies from Trinidad and I see these black women with these strollers and these white kids, you know, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, black, and even in the elderly, you go to these nursing homes, some of the most racist elderly people end up having their asses wiped by black women at these nursing homes and these black men, you know. And when he said Emmett Till, and when he liked to use big words, and the racial component within that system, I'm like, and now we sleeping with white women. Motherfucker, motherfucking black and white people been sleeping with each other for thousands of years, man. They've been sleeping with each other forever. Just people in general have been running into each other and intermixing. Frederick Douglass was half black. Bob Marley, biracial. Some of the most important historical black people who fought for are biracial. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? That's not nothing new. And he's like, it went from Emmett Till to now we sleeping on people. Look at the NFL. All they got is white women. That he missed like a whole couple decades of, and like you said, the master had his way with black women. White masters could rape, and they could rape black men at any time they wanted to. And remember, there were laws where miscegenation was unlawful, but white men would go at night in Harlem. They would go and sleep with black women. You know what I'm saying? At night, even though they would hate black people in the daytime, they would do a lot of that stuff, man. You know, so intermixing has always been around, and sometimes it's fetishized. There are people I know in interracial relationships who have been called the N-word by their counterpart, and they still stay. But you know what I'm saying? Then they still stay. I go, well, they called you the N-word. What's up with that? Well, I didn't think they didn't mean it. I go, well, obviously they're fetishizing you. They don't see you as a human being, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth is the N-word. That's a little weird. You should be leaving that. I'm saying whoever you want to be with, but they got to respect you as a human being. And a lot of times people are fetishized. They really are, you know? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, look, and by the way, just so you know, I was speaking to a family member, and the family member says that this person does not know Nolan, especially in the way that he's portraying. He's not a family friend. And so that's all. That's what the family is. Someone with the family is saying. That's all I'll say.
Well, the Nolan thing is, I believe his white friends did it. I think the coroner covered it up. All of them are all connected. The racist coroner, the racist doctors.
Allegedly.
In my opinion, I think that, seriously, because I haven't. The whole thing, I had to like shut it off because I was so angry, because there was another black kid that was at a festival that got beat up. He was the only black kid there. There was the black woman that went on that sleeping thing with those white women that sleep over. She's gone. And it's been happening a lot. There's black children swinging from trees. And Mississippi, I think, if I'm right, you let me know, Don, they still have not signed the anti-lynching bill in Mississippi. They still have not signed.
I don't think that they have.
They haven't even signed it. You have to think about not hanging black people, but you want black people to play football for Ole Miss, though. You still want us to play basketball and football for you, because the South loves basketball and football. But you have an anti-lynching bill where you got to think about hanging black people. You got to think about it. It's pretty sickening, because Mississippi is really burning. Remember the movie? It's burning for real. And I really, in my opinion, think that those white dudes killed him. Period. I think there was a jealousy thing, that maybe there's a white chick liked him. He was a football player, good looking, and a lot of white dudes are very jealous of black men. They are very jealous of us a lot of times. And I think that's what happened. And they covered it up. I feel allegedly covered that shit up. Something ain't looking right. All of a sudden, his parts of his body were missing. Give me a break. You know what I'm saying? Where he was bludgeoned. This is what I'm listening to, and in my opinion, You understand? And I think that everybody's connected with everything. I think everybody's connected. It's just like with Carmelo Anthony, the same thing. The father, racist asshole who taught his sons racism. They want to bully a black kid who defends himself, and they all know the judges. They're all friends with everybody. So I think that black kids, black people, when you're hanging with a bunch of white people, bring some backup with you. Bring backup. And this is not knocking my white friends. I've been around white people who have done nothing to me, but I'm sorry. We're going to have to detox from being the only black person around you because you want some fuck shit. And another thing too, when I played football and baseball, it was always the white dudes, the teammates, that would try to do stuff to everybody, like pull underwear up their ass. They would always be up to scheming shit in the locker room. And black athletes would be like, yo, man, get away from me with that shit. They'd be like, we won't come to twist your nipple. Oh, today we're going to twist your nipple. Today is booty tickling. Today is booty tickling day. You're like, what? Today is booty tickling day. What are you talking about? So they would always be up to like gags and pranks.
You don't like getting wedgies?
You don't like wedgies? You don't like your underwear shoved up your ass like a thong?
I'm asking you. You don't like it?
Hell no, I don't like it. I don't like when my underwear goes up my butt, man. I got this underwear that doesn't go up your ass crack. It's like the non-ass crack underwear. It's called the no acetol underwear, bro.
Oh my God. So listen, about the Anti-Lynching Act, you are right. So federally, there was an Anti-Lynching Act that was signed federally in 2022.
Okay, so guys, we are going to just let Don Lemon finish his statement, and then it's after 9 o'clock. We're going to end tonight, and we'll meet back up tomorrow. Okay, so I'm gonna let him finish this statement. Hey, Archangel Michael, thank you so much for being here. And guys, if you want to bless the channel can receive gifts, super chats, super stickers, and if you want to become a channel member for $2.99 a month and be green to where you really stand out in the chat, you're welcome to do that as well. So let's just end this with a bang.
All right.
Okay.
But as of now, Mississippi has not enacted or signed a state-level Mississippi anti-lynching act.
That's scary. That's really scary.
When you hear this dude talking about white women, though, it reminded me of something.
What did it remind you of?
Okay, Andy, roll it.
Mr. President, since you've become president, you've been seen and photographed on the arms of white
Richard
women.
Pryor.
Watch his face, watch his face, watch his face, watch his face.
Quite frankly, sir, you've been courting an awful lot of white women. Will this continue?
As long as I can keep it up. Why you think they call it the White House?
Can we
anymore.
bring back humor like that again?
Oh my God. Oh, who are you
Can we
telling?
bring back real humor again? Can we bring it back? That was Richard Pryor, rest in peace, and his last wife was white, by the way.
Do you remember though when he and Chevy Chase did the N-word thing? I talked
Oh,
about
that was brilliant.
Oh my God.
Remember when he goes, they're like, porch monkey. He said, cracker. When they actually goes, nigga, he said, dead honky.
No, he goes honky. And then he goes, nigga, and he goes,
dead honky.
You can't do that now.
We can do it now. I think we need to bring it back because the same mentality is still here. It's like what Mary Trump's niece said, slavery never ended, it just evolved.
Yeah.
So racism never ended, it's just evolved. And it's not really evolved because it's the same old, hey, calling us niggers. It's the same old stuff. I always tell some white people, why don't you update your racism? Why are you using the same old tired ass words? Update it. If you're going to be a racist, at least update your shit. Hey, why don't you go back to Africa? Whoa, you eat fried chicken.
And watermelon.
I go, white people eat more chicken than black people because there's more whites here. They eat more chicken. They eat everybody else's food more than anybody else. Why don't you go eat your collard greens and your watermelon? Shut up. You always eating everybody's watermelon. Fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want that humor. That's why me on stage, I talk about the race thing. I talk about because it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. And I'm gonna keep talking about it. I would love to go on stage one day and go, let's talk about race. Hey man, it's over. Really? Okay, I'll move on. But unfortunately, there's a group of people that haven't moved on. Everybody else is trying to move on. Well, I know there's a new guy who's Mexican who's trying to be like Chud the Builder. He's like a Chud the Builder, but it hasn't worked. He was short-lived because he got his ass whooped. And he's a Mexican dude calling people the N-word. Let me tell you about Mexican racism. Mexican racism is like transferring community college credits to Harvard. It just doesn't count. We can't accept this. We Mexicans being racist just doesn't count. I go, oh, negrito, pobrecito. It doesn't work. You understand where I'm coming from? So the mentality of hating black people or just hate in general, it's just a little played out. It's played out, you know, but people want to hold on to that shit. You know, a lot of people, especially poor whites, want to hold on to, it's the black people, but it's the elite whites that are keeping you poor, my man. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the elite whites, just like Lyndon Baines Johnson said. I just tell the lowest white man that he's better than the highest colored man, and I just pick his pocket at the same time. Yeehaw!
All right, guys, we are going to end for tonight. I will put the link to the live, so if you want to continue to laugh, because it was highly hilarious to me. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, and I am tired. Thank you guys for all of the gifts. Every last one of you that have sent a gift or an encouraging word, positive words. Everybody that liked the live, interacted in the chat. I want to ask if you can please like the live on your way out. I'm going to be live tomorrow. I hope to see you guys there. Please subscribe to the channel. Be a member of the Truth Gang. We'll get through this. And maybe tomorrow we'll have another open panel. And maybe people will want to come up and be on a panel with Auntie Leah. That will be great as long as you stay respectful. Again, I love y'all. I will see you guys tomorrow. I've been on this thing for over 3 hours. On your way out, type Truth Gang and Justice for Nolan Wells, Free Carmelo, and Justice for Kendrick Johnson. I love y'all. Salute. Listen to the song that I wrote. It's for the Truth Gang. It's our anthem. Auntie Leah out. See y'all tomorrow. Love y'all.
Social injustice.
That's not our anthem. Let me get to the right anthem. Lord have mercy. This is our anthem right here.
Same clout. Same views.
Truth Gang.
It's truth. It's pain. No matter where it led, we still going.
I'll be 52 years old in a couple of months. Lord have mercy.
Truth Gang, we been hurt, but we still don't break. Every lie getting heavy.
I love y'all. Listen to the words, y'all.
There's no fear. We've been carrying pressure. Carry that. If it's dark, we bringing light. Now it's never. Right now. Truth Gang, we've been standing through the pain in the rain. Through it all. Every loss, every tear, yeah, we carry the names. No matter where it leads, we still stand. 10 toes in the fire. It's the Truth Gang. We don't move off feelings. We move off facts. Paperwork timeline. Yo, we double check that. If it don't add up, then we questioning it. If it's hidden in the dark, we addressing it. They want silence, they want fear, they want control. They want narratives push that we don't expose. They lie, but we build different. We cut from truth.
Thank you for being here, Alfredia.
Just to make
Hey, Murder Baby.
We're running from nothing but a lie.
Thank you, Pamela.
We do run.
Mary, you know I love you, baby.
Go time every step.
Burn out, my baby. There's my baby Jean.
Worth more than gold.
Hey.
We've been hurting.
Yeah, Mary in the building. Salute. I love you. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Keep it being here, baby. True game, Pamela. My girl Gabby, my niece. Hey, my bomb moderator. Yo, Mocha B in the building. Salute, Mary A, baby, my other bomb. And my #1 moderator, Archangel Michael. Salute.
But we loud for him.
Hey.
Candlelight tears. Yeah, we
Justice
cry
for Nolan Wells.
Still crying. They want to check, try to settle pain.
Carmelo.
But we want truth, we want real names.
Hey.
Real names. Ain't no healing if the truth hit. Ain't no peace if they slide.
mad.
They politic trying to twist the
But
story.
we ain't gonna never shut up.
Toes, yeah, we fight for it. Stand on it. We done seen cover-ups. We done seen delay.
We done seen it all,
We done
baby.
seen evidence.
Thank you for being
pushed
here,
away.
Fit.
We done seen families cry.
Let me
with no
bang you right
answers.
now.
Why the truth get buried
That's what you
under
call the
lies
clown.
and distractions. But we still here and we still pushing forward. Even when it get heavy, we going harder. It's bigger than views, bigger than fame, bigger. This about justice, this about names. Say they name. It's for every mama still crying, still crying. It's for every name they keep hiding. Say their names. It's for every truth they deny. They lie. We still here, we still rising. We rising. True game, we been hurting, but we still don't break. Don't break. Don't break. Don't break. Yeah. Every lie getting heavy, feel the weight that it take. That way. That way. Yeah. No silence, no fear. We been carrying pressure. Carry that. If it's dark, we bring it light. Now it's now or it's never. Right now. Right now. True game, we been spinning through the pain and the rain. Through it all. Every loss, every tear, yeah, we carry the name. Say they name. No matter where it lead, we still stand. 10 toes in the fire, it's the truth game. 10 down. We want the truth.